Advanced philosophy memes. We have made good memes. Advanced philosophy memes. Base fucking memes. Advanced philosophy memes. We have made good memes. Advanced philosophy memes. Base fucking memes. Shoutouts to Andreas, Declan, my boy Scott, Pedro, and everyone else that engages on my posts. And Sarah, keep it up, man. You'll get there someday. And everyone else from Great Memes.
Dan Marino should get gonorrhea and die. Was it? And rot in hell. I think that's what it is. But not Dan Marino. It's like Ilna Omar, I think, the piss like guy. How much you bet? Like it was like her brother's piss or her husband's piss, whatever it was that was sprayed. That she had paid someone to spray on herself. Because I bet at least $1 American.
Yeah, whatever that dollar is worth these days. I haven't looked at exchange rates, but
Ideologically, it still has some value, you know. Oh, and Vincent made it. There he is. We were trying to stall. We were talking about Omar paying some guy to spray her and her own brother's piss. Just trying to give you like a few more seconds to get in here. But
Thank you.
mean, you're welcome. So, how are you?
I'm doing good. It's mighty cold up here.
Yeah, I mean, it was 40 below centigrade and Fahrenheit. Apparently, that's where they meet in Minnesota. So, what about in Canada? Is it like as bad as in Minnesota, or is it worse? Like,
I think that it probably hit Minnesota worse, but here is like minus 35.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
I love that they were like, there's nothing better than, like, I wish I could run liberal propaganda more, because imagine, you're thinking to yourself, like, what can I do to really like ruin these people's day? And I know what it is. We should all go protest in negative 40-degree weather outside. That's the answer. If I really wanted to torture somebody, I feel like it's like, get them to voluntarily go outside for hours in negative 40. Bring your kids, you know what I mean? Because like clearly you don't care about them any more than you do about like truth. So just torture them some more.
Throw rocks, or what is it? Throw ice at the sun,
dude.
Well, there's a lot of people who have the mindset that the more they suffer, the more it validates what they're doing. So it's like they're like, look, we're willing to go out and stand in the harsh cold to protest because that's how much it means to us. And then it goes like, okay, but like you could not damage yourselves.
It's a core tenet of Christianity, though.
Sure. The more you suffer, the more you really care. That's just a lyric from that's from Low Self-Esteem, the Offspring song. That's not really from the Bible.
But because when I was 14, I would walk like. Sorry, what were you saying?
It's part of human, like being human. There's like misery loves company kind of thing. And that implies that misery bands us together and forms tribes, really, in a way. So, people are like, we're all miserable. Therefore, we are all fighting the same demons, basically. And then they get to kind of unify under that,
Dude, but you were 14 once. What were you saying, Chris? When you were 14, you walked in the cold?
Well, I can't really shit because I remember when I was 14, I would walk like fucking 10 miles just to buy drugs. And then now it's like, oh yeah, no, I can't go protest because it's too fucking cold outside. It's like, yeah, that would be a big fat
honestly
lie.
Going to buy drugs actually makes more sense than protesting against ICE.
Well, the thing is, protesting on drugs, you know.
Yeah,
that also makes more sense, I guess. I don't know. Where I grew up, we used to have all the protests, right? Like
you can't protest sober. Come on.
The
also
the Black Panthers. Go ahead.
I was just saying I don't like it when it's like, you know, there's people like clearly over 30 or 40s at these protests, and you're just there for sex, man. You're just there to feel all the hopped up emotions, and you see some young radicalized 20-something-year-old college kids.
I don't agree. I think that the 30, 40-year-olds at protests are the ones who have been there for the longest and that actually believe in the cause, while the ones who are 20-something are usually just swept up in the ideology by, you know, their surroundings.
Sure. I mean, look,
and they're the ones trying to get laid. They're the ones who are the super.
I'm just using Occupy Wall Street as a reference point, and that was like I was there like every fucking day because like I had to go to work and see that.
There's predators there.
I wish I was 30 during Occupy because like I would have made so much money.
Yeah. The problem with Occupy,
I would have put up websites that said send $100 so we could buy water bottles for all of our protesters, and I would have made like $100,000. You know what I mean? Because so many, like, it's so easy. These idiots, they just want to help and they don't really know how, and they're just like, "Here's money." Like that's the best, really.
Well, hold on. If you did that and you were actually giving the water out to protesters, that wouldn't be the worst thing, right?
I mean, if I had to actually give water out to protesters, that would just be another hassle. Why not just do it the way George Soros did it? Take the money.
We had to Occupy.
There are these like Antifa influencers who make tons of money on like TikTok and stuff. They spend it on gas masks. They load it all up on supplies. They load it up in the back of the truck. They go and they drop their stuff off to their comrades. It's like and you know, they get the money from the TikTok from like being an influencer. So
true. We would do it better though. You're right, because we could make the mask like GIMP masks. Like we give everyone masks, but they have like the little rubber thing that goes on your mouth. You kind of like, you know. I
don't understand. Why don't they just make an app like fund your own protester? You know, like fund, like, you know, sponsor an orphan in Africa. Why don't you sponsor a protester? Maybe you're too busy. Maybe you got shit going on in your life. So you get on the app, look through the profiles, find one, donate maybe $50, $100, whatever they need.
I mean, look,
Coney doing your part.
2012 did, yeah, exactly.
I mean, that seems to be what's going on. At least that's what I remember about Occupy. Like my mom was giving money to Occupy because she's so roped into the nation. Her nation subscription, you know.
Here's the one thing that kind of, I don't know what your guys' algorithms look like, but I'm sure you could guess what mine looks like.
Communism.
And there's like, here's the most sus thing.
There's a lot of latex ladies with
that's like, that was my old account.
Okay.
But these days Finland. I've curated like, you know, STEM and just like weird niche like humor. But anyways, I was getting these ads for like, do you are you against the violation of basic human rights that's going on in the streets? Sign up on this thing and get a free like down with ICE hat or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, dude, it's like someone's gonna see that and they're gonna think, oh, you know, the who's funding this liberal agenda? And of course it's the weird, like something to perpetuate the status quo of the binary political psyop, and it's like, oh, now you guys got to pick a side, even though it's like bottom versus top as opposed to left versus right. So I don't they're giving out free fuck ICE hats.
What if we just get ICE, like remember that movie, not 50 Shades of Grey, not Heat, there was another one where they have sex with ice cubes in it from the early 90s, and I think it has whoever played Kim Basinger. Who's Kim? All right, in the audience right now, what's the movie I'm thinking of with Kim Basinger? No, there's like a number in it. It's like 6 weeks or something like that.
Batman Forever.
Kim Basinger.
Mr. Freeze.
8
Dr.
weeks. 8.5 weeks. Is that it? 8.5 weeks. 9.5 weeks. We almost did it. 9.5 weeks. And then there's this guy, and he's got these ice cubes, right? So what you could do for the FI, there it is. Oh, you're too late. You thought you were gonna help me. Next time, you gotta be quicker on the draw, bro. My brain it sometimes has it in like the back of the recall memory. It's like outside of the RAM, but it's stored there somewhere. 9.5 weeks. Anyway, if you just have a bunch of these protesters swallowing ice for anti-ice protests, can we just have them eat like 3 dozen ice cubes or something, and then just their entire insides?
Fuck, I played the wrong one. Damn it! I was supposed to play the laugh track.
That's not bad. That wasn't bad. I'm gonna take that one. We have a laugh track, but we could just leave it on the whole time. Here we go. Just...
Oh no.
What is up with these protesters anyway?
So we're gonna chew up ice cubes to show how we're gonna chew up ice agents. Is that it?
Anything
What's the
but
big
Epstein
deal?
files.
What's the big deal with the Epstein files? There don't seem to be very many files there. That's a good feeling. I don't know. Yeah, so no, I mean, I just was thinking that the thing that kind of bothered me was like right now there's the guy who, you know, and I brought this up at the beginning, squirted what I think was piss in a syringe at Omar, Ilmar, how do you say her name again? Ilan Omar. Is that right? Ilan Omar. Someone pronounce it for me better.
Just call her Queen.
Ilhan. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Anyway, and it just seems funny because that woman seems like the most annoying person I've ever seen. Am I wrong here? Like I can't imagine another person that I, you know, because like I'm supposed to be kind of a forgiving person who thinks you should never throw piss on anybody, but you have to think like there's one person that should drown in piss. Like, you know what I mean? Like probably Ilhan Omar. Am I wrong?
They're not at the top of that list. You know, that's for sure.
Who would you put above? Because like
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates. I mean, he's already.
I mean,
here's
look,
my
he deserves more than a pie. Okay.
I have a Bill Gates conspiracy that's been on my mind for a few days.
Here's the thing.
Actually,
a lot of the people who deserve it would probably be into it. So,
well, it's just piss. I mean, everyone's taking the sip from the wrong beer bottle at a party because they were a little too drunk, and maybe it had some cigarette ash in it. Maybe it had a little something else in it. You never know.
Yeah, everybody, go ahead and sleep at night. No, but I think
just you.
I don't know, man. I've been so wasted that like
your own piss too.
Oh no, I was still able to play guitar, but like I tried to drink a swig off a bottle of wine that I was like ashing my blunt into.
Yeah, I've done shit like that before.
That's still better than piss. I mean, you just have some carbon, some C60 molecules might clean your blood. I don't know why we all draw the line at what we find acceptable loss, right? Still, Bill Gates, my conspiracy theory is that they're destroying Windows now because of Epstein and Bill Gates' relationship. I mean, I don't have any other explanation for why Windows sucks as bad as it does now and why they seemingly are pushing everyone to use Linux, including like if you use Steam, then you're going to be using Proton and like they're getting it so you can run any Windows application really easily. There's so much of a concerted effort. Yeah, it's a great thing. And it makes sense. Go ahead.
Well, it might be like you say, you know, like it might be a way to clean the slate. Like, oh, you've lost trust in this corporation? Well, change to this corporation.
Yeah, I mean, or well, so if you go back, we talked about this before. Bell Labs created the software that ran on IBM machines in the 60s, but then Bell Lab was destroyed because of the antitrust case, which split up Bell, and Bell created Unix, and you know, IBM wasn't sure which companies that used to be Bell owned which parts of Unix, so they needed a new operating system, and MS-DOS filled the gap through Windows. But now we're at a point where we have Linux, which is kind of this back to Unix thing, so they can go back to what the military industrial standard was, basically a Unix operating system. And so with the Epstein case, with Bill and Melinda leaving him after the Epstein scenario, it seems like everything bad that's happened to Windows has happened since then. Ever since Bill Gates was kind of caught in the Epstein scandal, more and more of people are moving away. Businesses, corporations, governments even are switching to like LibreOffice and different operating systems. I feel like it's direct. I don't know if this is that funny, but seriously, I think there's a direct relation to the Epstein thing. That's my best guess for why this is happening.
What I have picked up on is you seem to be on a crusade against Windows lately. You're like, fuck that shit. Open source all day.
I always hated Windows. I always did as a kid. I wasn't even like ever. There's no point in my life where I thought, okay, using Windows was anything less than an acceptable evil. And I never, you know what I mean? Like I always used Linux, or when I was younger, I used Amiga. Like I had an Amiga and then I got into Apple and stuff. So I always had kind of a personal vendetta against Windows, and maybe that's coming into fruition now. It's like a midlife crisis thing where I'm back to my childhood hating of Windows, but I don't know. I know a lot of people loved Windows, and I can see the value in it. I mean, I'm about to install Windows 98 in an 86 box.
It's actually funny. Like I don't really have the same hatred for Windows, but I do have a love of Linux. Like it's taught me a lot just from getting into configuration files, learning how everything communicates with the hardware, learning how like SSH works. And as a learning experience, Linux has been amazing. But I don't know, maybe I haven't been around long enough around it to develop that healthy resentment against like I don't know, proprietary operating systems like Windows.
Windows just always sucked to me, but realistically, Apple was worse, and it's not fair for me to hate Windows as much as I do, you know, because basically, I just recently rewatched that movie, Pirates of Silicon Valley. Have you ever seen that old made-for-TV movie where they talk about the history? It's worth watching.
I'm sure it is. I'm definitely gonna watch it actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the cover of it because it's like from 1997 or 1999 or something like that, and it's got. This is the cover for it, and this is supposed to be, you know, Steve Jobs, and supposed to be Bill Gates, right? But what I noticed while watching it this time was, and I've always kind of thought this, but didn't really have the diagnosis in my mind, but Steve Jobs is a total psychopath, right? He's a complete psychopath who just relishes getting people emotional. If he makes them suicidal or, you know, willing to kill, so that he had the Apple II team versus the Macintosh team, and he wanted them to fight each other to the death on the beach, basically, right? Because that's loyalty, company loyalty, right? And so he's a complete psychopath. And if you wanted a floppy disk, he would just like yell at you and say, "We're not, the whole company, no more floppy drives. That's it. We're done. We're only using, disk drives from now on," even though they weren't ready yet. He's like, "We're gonna just make our own lives difficult so that we can move forward." But Bill Gates is a sociopath. Like he has no emotional response and is able to pretend like he's a poker player. That's really what it is. He really is a great poker player. So he can pretend that he has nothing in his hand because he has no emotional reaction. So he can lie amazingly, right?
I think the space between the parallel is really just like you could either be like primarily a public facing figure or like a genius, you know, like an effective operator. Yeah. If you try to be both and try to juggle both like roles, it's going to fuck you up. It's going to trip you up.
It's like the difference between Dahmer and Kaczynski.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you want to elaborate, or should we just say that makes sense? I guess.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. It's hard not to love Kaczynski, but like, you know, there's certain moments where you appreciate Dahmer too, right? What can you do? You worked at that candy shop, you know? No? Oh, it was a test and you passed. I was just making sure. Okay, Andrew. All right. I think that sociopathy is pretty necessary for certain levels of success, and psychopathy is another one. So if we think about it, the only way to really be a really decent CEO in the nature of civilization is to be a psychopath. If you're a psychopath, you are willing to force people to work so hard that they can innovate, and you don't care, or actually you love that they're suffering. You enjoy it to an extent, and you're willing to make as much money as possible. You can be greedy and narcissistic, and psychopathy is really useful for building a company. But a sociopath might be even bigger. That's probably why Bill Gates was so much more successful than Steve Jobs, because he didn't show emotion, so he was able to universally take over the entire industry. Like he could just buy companies and destroy people, and it didn't even look like he was enjoying it. The only enjoyment he seems to get out of was just successfully having more money. Like he's just watching the money grow.
And he gave Steve Jobs cancer. So.
I mean, somebody did, right?
Well, Well, in some fields, maybe it's healthier to leave emotion out of it. I mean, like take something as basic as hunting. Like you're gonna go and slaughter animals in the wilderness, packed with emotion, feeling like all types of way about it. Like, oh yeah, I live for this shit. I live for gutting this fucking animal. I live for skinning it. I love the feel. Or is it just like pulling a lever for you? It's like, well, I got to do this, you know, so I could feed my family and stay warm.
Wasn't like Bill Gates the person who held a funeral for the iPod because he was releasing the Zune?
That's cute. That's just a cute little move. The Zune was a flop, but I kind of liked it.
It was very practical. The thing is,
you know, these industries, if it's profit oriented, it's too short sighted for the most part. So like psychopathy and sociopathy can be very useful for certain things, but the long-term metagame gets lost because you end up harming people around you, you end up harming society, you end up, you know, basically destroying what you've created long-term. So it's selfishness works, but only within your own lifetime.
That's why it seems
you're losing the humanity game, you know, like.
But that seems like the point. So Steve Jobs had this emotional tangent of I can control your lives the way IKEA can recolonize your brain. You know, I can be inside of your mind in your home, and the way you apply technology will be the way I want you to. The bar will be at the top. You know, the buttons will be on this side of the screen. You can't move them. Like just this kind of control freak mentality to control people's lives because he got off on it. You know,
but that's not the only optimal route to success, quote unquote. I think it's if you have a passion, there's a certain drive for conquest, and you're either going to be tied to conquering others and your surroundings or conquering yourself. You know, there's those people who live to like vanquish enemies and to have their rivals like bend to their will. And then there's those people that just like wake up and they say, I want to be better than I was yesterday. I want to climb that next mountain that's a little higher than the last one. You know, like I think you don't have to be locked into, yes, relishing in the control over others. What about relishing in the control over yourself and your own impulses? So, I mean, both make you better than the masses. Honestly, both make you better than the average person.
Maybe Steve Jobs did that because he only ate fruit and took acid all the time. Like I think he was controlling his choices. He was controlling his impulses a lot more clearly than Bill Gates, right? Bill Gates, who was having sex with random people.
And how could you not feel more confident when you're exhibiting to yourself and to others more self-control than the average person? So like, how could you not that's a slippery slope to ego, right? Where you're like, I'm just better than everyone because I could control myself. Like, so that's another like dangerous part about it, I guess. It's not all.
But Bill Gates, like you can tell he was colorblind and didn't care what colors things were. You know, he didn't care about so many things, and that's that sociopathy thing where he doesn't care. He wants you to use whatever computer. He wants to be on every system. He wants to saturate the market and everything else. But he didn't really care about the Windows experience. Really, it sucked. It had blue screens of death. You could move the bar from the bottom to the top or to the left or the right. He didn't give a damn. You know, like he'd do whatever he wanted because he didn't have an emotional attachment to the user interface or experience of Windows in the same way that Steve Jobs was obsessed with controlling that everyone would, like Ford. Ford's a psychopath, right? Ford wanted everyone to drive a black Model T. He didn't want anyone to have a different color Model T. He wanted everyone in America to have the same Model T because he loved it. He loved the idea of controlling everyone's lives. That's, to me, I think the difference.
I mean, yeah, look at just the way that they dress. Didn't Steve Jobs wear the same thing just by virtue of simplicity?
I did that for a long time too, just like black t-shirts and jeans.
He's like, trust me, this is the way. Your life will be 10 times quicker if you're not stressing about
what you wear.
Yeah.
I was just poor.
I'm kind of convinced that also Steve Jobs was kind of jealous of artists. Like he just wanted to be an artist. He wasn't an artist. Probably someone told him he'll never be a good artist at school or something. So he got like Andy Warhol to do a Super Bowl ad. And after that, he started wearing turtlenecks like him, you know? I mean,
you know, what's funny? I was thinking that between the two of them, in the way that they lived, I feel like Steve Jobs was more of an artist.
Yeah.
And I was going to use that to describe him, but it wasn't in... I don't know. He had like the Warhol comparison, I think is really accurate because he was kind of like a Musk-ish kind of person where it was like they're the people who are technically skilled who will do the bidding of the creative like fucking brain guy and the personality.
It's an Imagineer.
The visionary.
Yeah, just
Imagineer.
you justify that you're not a musician because you are the conductor of musicians. You justify it because you control artists, that you are like an artist, right? And Andy Warhol is a great artist to idolize because he's someone who doesn't really have to be doing his own art. A lot of other people were working for him doing these stencil pieces, and he was willing to use computers and just to call things art that were minimal functional experiences. That to me is what Steve Jobs saw as a great solution, not only for himself, but as a product, because you could sell the idea of being an artist to people. You buy a Mac because you're going to be an artist. You buy your kids a Mac because you think your kids are special and you think that they're creative, more creative than other kids, you know? That's why they need this fancier machine, right? I think that was a marketing gimmick that works really well.
To be fair, Windows Movie Maker didn't have as many like fun tools as iMovie. So.
I actually don't really hate on Mac that much. I mean, they give you a terminal. You know, they let you navigate your file system like the traditional right way. So, and you could create shit. You could write. You could use a text editor. You could do all the shit you need to do. Really,
Mac is actually more in
developer friendly.
Like
but
Linux
does it run Doom?
You can now run Doom. You can run Doom on
Doom.
You can run a Texas Instruments calculator. Can run Doom now, but
exactly.
But in the day, you know, Apple was not for that. But, you know, you have to think about like early Apple was very different because they fired Steve Jobs. And when they fired Steve Jobs, things kind of went downhill until they hired him back. Right. And when they hired him back, he had been working for He created this other company called Next, and they were using the BSD kernel. So the operating system OS 10, OS X from Next is not OS 9. It's nothing like the old Mac operating system. But what it is like BSD, because it's a direct lineage successor to the Unix BSD kernel. So, I mean, Darwin, I think, is the name of the open source BSD kernel that they use. So, and Apple like pays programmers to keep writing the BSD kernel. So Linux is actually further away from Unix just slightly than Apple is. Apple is a lot closer, but it's locked down in such a crazy way at this point. A lot of people don't know how to use it, and kids have no idea what a file tree or file directory or terminal. They don't even know how to find the terminal, and they're scared of it, which is sad. But yeah, you can homebrew in a Mac. I mean, you know, of course. Nothing wrong with
Hackintosh.
Hackintosh was pretty fun growing up, but these days I don't see the point. At this point, the whole point of Apple is that they own the freaking RISC architecture. The M chip that Apple uses is based on the solar calculators from the 80s. You know, like those old calculators that just have a strip of solar panel on them and they could run forever because there's some supernatural quality where reduced instruction set calculator, a RISC calculator, could you put energy in and you follow how much energy is in there, and there's more energy because somehow it's gaining electrons or something along the process. There's a magic thing about RISC. And I think Acorn, the Sinclair, some of these old things in the 80s, they all ran on this system, and Apple built their chipset based on those processes. Just really, you know, your 3 nanometer process. So you have trillions and trillions of transistors doing calculations the same way that an old solar calculator would. But that's why they're so efficient, right? And they really are on another level. Maybe if you think about the Intel system, which is the IBM system, just the best it could ever be produced, compared to the Snapdragon. The Snapdragon is a lot more power efficient and you can do a lot of the same things, but doesn't interface very well with the GPU. And then there's the Apple ARM. You know, it's like you buy that because it's fancier. You don't really buy that because you don't really just install OS 10 on something because OS 10 is better. At this point, Apple doesn't offer better software features than Linux does. I don't know.
Yeah, it's about the standardization as well. You know, like people just want something that they can just absorb that's prepackaged and everything predetermined. It's like buying a console, you know.
Bastards. What about the French lawmakers that want to make social media illegal for all of our 15 and under fans? Kids, what do you guys think about this? If anybody comments, you're blocked instantly. We know. You can tell. What about the French? Sorry.
Who cares what the French want? I mean, what do they even do? What are they even good at except like snacking and painting? Like, ooh,
I don't know. I don't know what age they should be introduced to it, but I think that they should be allowed to like chat with each other, like Messenger. But
French people make better cars than Germans do now. French people are weirdly good at stuff these days, and they write
all the immigrants.
There are a lot of good French programmers out there.
Now they were really, honestly, let's give it to them. They were great at war for a long for that.
Ouch.
For that period of time. I mean,
just before planes, they were good though.
Yeah, they were fucking amazing with that little guy who was just good at shit.
He was not French. Napoleon was from Corsica. He
right, like the Austrian.
Yeah, which is the motto now of Germany. He was Austrian, actually. They like to say, that's the whole thing. But
I mean, it sounds like they're just trying to protect kids, right? Like they must have such a big problem.
Okay.
That the only thing...
right. As soon as someone says that they're trying to protect kids, my suspicion level just explodes. Could they really possibly, the same people that want to feed kids to Epstein want to protect kids? Could that possibly be true?
I mean, I don't know. You say like the same people. It's like talking about like the government or the CIA. They aren't these monolithic things. They're made up of people, and people, like, more often than not, disagree with each other. So these rival factions form at every echelon in every social scene. And
I mean, there's the monolith. I mean, the monolith is always there. And the people in the government are the ones around it, worshiping it and maintaining it. I mean, it's still the government is a monolith because it's been around using the same charter with the same secret societies for centuries and centuries. They're following a plan, so I can't.
Especially in France, right?
Yeah, it's made up of people, but it's like made up of people that follow a pattern that's been.
But you got to think the French are also the kinds of people who. Yeah, I know. Napoleon I'm talking. You want to talk to? I get it. Sorry,
Napoleon was definitely part of some secret society somewhere.
You might need to.
But I'm talking about like the. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm talking about like the working class and the people. The farmers. They go and they like their disruptive activities.
It's all right. Just go ahead. I'll listen to the baby behind you. It's fine. We don't mind. I like the baby.
There's a lot that's very, very bizarre about the events in France, like with Marie Antoinette and with Napoleon. Like, these were not coincidences, and they weren't just uprisings. Like, when there's a revolution, even if it is homegrown and like made by the people, there are basically people who are going to control it and exploit it and capitalize on it. And these people are the ones that actually are the monolith, like they control everything for centuries, and then everyone else is kind of in debt to them all the time because it's a debt system that they create.
Well, but what does social media do to kids, really? I mean, I know we always think about unrealistic beauty standards from Instagram, but is that any different than the unrealistic beauty standards that television offered, except that these are actually based on real people?
Yeah, but it's the exposure to predators, like kids on Roblox, and who are getting preyed on and stuff. I'm sure y'all have heard about that.
Yeah, but look, there's standardized brainwashing, let's say, when it's on television, where you just have the baseline of the cultural sort of input that is made by corporations that comes with all the old ad system. This is the old programming, and the internet is more global, so you have other governments that can come in and be like, hey, we're gonna like brainwash your kids too through different pieces of media.
That's where I'm going with this. So yeah, think about what I exactly, because think about what I mean by that. If they're taking social media away from kids and then they're gonna give them instead some sort of state media, then we're back to what happened when YouTube was purchased by Google, right? Remember, YouTube didn't used to be Google's product, which is why it didn't suck. Originally, it was anyone could put a video up and it could be seen. We could be seen and heard. Then all of a sudden, someone talks about fat Earth, being a little bit on the flatter side, and then people start demoting content that matters and then putting other content that nobody wants to see at the top of it, right? These stupid propaganda pieces, and that's what they do to kids.
I'm dealing with a lot of that on TikTok right now. Ever since the Oracle acquisition, they're just really cracking down on the algorithm.
Well, I know Chinese TikTok was a lot different from American TikTok. Like Chinese kids were seeing way different shit on TikTok than American kids.
I heard that TikTok is better now, though. Ever since the U.S. government's kind of helped take it over.
Yeah, sure. Oh, that sounds good.
You know, like kids struggle. They're not developed enough yet to fully process any of the information they're given, because they don't have enough experience, enough capacity to contextualize it all. And so when they're placed like anything, whether it's a movie or music or any piece of art, or the news or social media, like they can't fully process all the information completely. And this isn't a criticism of them, it's just that it's reality. They don't understand enough of everything, and so they're easy to manipulate, they're easy to exploit. And if they can access social media, someone will try to exploit the naivete of these children, just like the television does, just like the movies, and every single part of culture does it. And so which parts of culture are too dangerous to expose kids to? Is it the unregulated ones? Because then you can tell them the truth, but you can also lie to them more easily. It's like it's
but there's also which kids are the most vulnerable. It's not like every kid is going to respond the same way to quote unquote propaganda or brainwashing media. Some kids are more liable to fall into it. And why? Probably because they have some fucked up issues at home. They're trying to seek more escapism.
The thing is, culture has a counterculture for everything. So like if some kid doesn't identify with the mainstream brainwashing, there's another brainwashing right on the other side for him, and it's prepackaged, and it's everything that it's intended to do, you know.
It's crazy how much data they have about this. So I was looking in this one. Does the UK government, for instance, go far enough to protect children from conspiracy theorist parents? Right. And so the real issue is, what if your parents know what's really going on, and then they try to tell the kid about the lies that the media has for them. Now all of a sudden you're in a war against the actual family unit, which of course has always been the case, but in order to protect the children from the parents' information. Here's one that kind of mattered. They bring up on this article, they say the inquest into the death of Paloma Shimirani, right, the daughter of the British conspiracy theorist. I don't know if you've seen or heard this story, but long story short, there was a mother who didn't want her daughter taking really dangerous chemotherapy because, you know, she had an even more dangerous cancer, arguably. And a lot of people have online conspiracies about whether or not cancer is real, but we also know that the drugs used to fight cancers are very dangerous. That's the whole point of them. Chemotherapies are dangerous. They're used to kill the cancers, which are cells in your body. So it has to be something that can kill cells. So we know it's at least dangerous enough to cause damage to the cells in your body, right? I think that's not medical advice or information. That's just kind of what we all know. I hope that's okay. We'll find out what YouTube thinks. Anyway, this daughter was refused chemotherapy, and then the 7 months after receiving cancer diagnosis of non-Hodgkin lymphomas, the same non-Hodgkin lymphoma that Paul Allen died from, by the way, Paul Allen from Microsoft, she had refused chemotherapy treatment. Her mother, Kate, a former nurse who rose to prominence on social media sharing COVID conspiracy theories, accused the emergency team who treated Paloma when she collapsed at home of gross negligence manslaughter. And they couldn't in court prove anything because these are considered completely acceptable medical treatments. And so all they have to do is say that the mother's a conspiracy theorist for trying to protect her daughter, right? And then the question is, other kids are going to find this out, see what's going on, and the parents are going to say, yeah, we should try to do what this lady did. So what responsibility does the state have to keep children from believing what their parents believe, or to keep parents from informing children information that the state doesn't find acceptable? I think this is a big one that scales, because then you can see as that trend goes from your parents to just general information, digital misinformation, disinformation campaigns that have existed for, at least 5 to maybe I think since 2018, it's been really common that they've been trying to break down all of the, information algorithms, right?
I mean, if parents are supposed to be the ones who act as an insulator between whatever sort of brainwashing, whether or not it's like influence on the TV, who no one on the TV is going to like message.
I don't think that's true. Wait. Who said parents are supposed to be that? Who said parents are supposed to be the filter for misinformation? I think that's unreasonable. You can't, especially in an information age where you're just getting like buckets of information literally poured into your skull, no matter who you are. Like, I don't think it's fair to place that role on parents. Like, you're going to be the sole filter, the only like line of defense, true line of defense against. No, you got to give kids the tools to protect themselves.
Yes, yeah, no.
Critical thinking skills, right? And to modeling but parents, we're hoping that some parents have critical thinking skills, and I think that's less and less common. More and more people lack the critical thinking skills because of campaigns like this, which are designed to keep you from having your own critical thinking skills. And we see this at mass. People are constantly saying, well, I don't know how to judge whether something's true or not, so I better go to a source I trust, right? Which is the idea of, if you trust your parents, then you bring that to, as an adult, trust reliable sources. Trusting reliable sources is just like asking your parents if Santa Claus is real when you're 8.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's possible to like strike a balance to build discernment, I think, in your offspring. Like, on one hand, you could teach them like stuff like listen to your gut, which sounds counterintuitive to like, you know, the more clinical route, which is giving them like, say, a matrix, you know, give them a checklist that like how many of these boxes get checked off. If so, then it's probably that statistically, you know, like you could teach them both, you know, both routes, and they could do both. Like in a situation, they'll have their matrix, they'll fill out all the criteria and say, yep, this looks like one of those shady situations. And then they'll listen to their gut. That's what I do. You know? People don't want to use their intuition, and they don't even want to think about stuff. They just want to have the answers given to them. So they don't like, that's why, you know, turn to your parents, and that's just a micro of the authority. So you turn to your parents, or you turn to, you know, a trusted science source or the government or whoever, instead of actually thinking about it yourself, because, you know, that's just the way our culture kind of works, where you're like, don't think too hard, you know, just trust the experts, or trust this news report, or trust what's the man on television with the big show that's telling you, hey, you know, this is what happened, and these guys are terrorists, and this.
Well, that's why, like, you know, the types of kids who are going to fall victim to someone preying on them through the internet is that, like, their parents obviously are not the involved type, to where these kids didn't have the guidance to have, you know, it's like, oh, this actually doesn't sound like a safe situation for me to be putting myself in. Like, who is, you know, since the parents have checked out and the kid doesn't have access to the tools to like learn about this shit, whose responsibility does that fall on? And like right now, it's really shitty that the only sort of way to make a blanket change that, you know, might be able to catch these people from slipping through your fingers or whatever, it's sadly the government and laws and like this. I don't think so. I think the real answer is artists. I think that the real answer is what we're doing right now. You know, like, the government isn't going to actually do any of this stuff, but we are compelled to discuss this in the first place, and that's, to me, a sign that that's the entire point. You know, like, we're here to teach people, as well as try to have that wisdom, because the government doesn't have that wisdom, and if they do, then they're not applying it to us, you know. So we have to be the ones who actually do it, as well as every artist you've ever listened to that taught you something great, or every philosopher that ever did this. Well, you know, there's so many people.
But that's the danger, because social media versus passive media, because legacy media is one-way conversive, it's authoritative, it's unchallenged. You can't challenge it while it's happening, because you can't immediately comment on it that this is nonsense or a lie, right? This is the big thing that CNN hated about social media. And it's narrative locked. It's locked into a particular narrative that they have to follow for whatever reason. So they can't tell you a kid with access to the internet at least gets to hear from the crazies who say that Big Pharma is, you know, not telling the full truth when they tell you there's absolutely no side effects to their treatments, for instance, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think that's the thing that they want to get rid of more than anything. They just want people to be able to question or to investigate, right? And children are not learning how to investigate.
I agree. I mean, I was never really taught to investigate, but eventually I picked up a trail and I learned how to investigate.
Yeah, do you know what taught me?
Social media, because it's interactive, it allows for peer discussion, it encourages counter narratives.
The rabbit hole really started with smoking weed and watching a bunch of crazy shit on YouTube. That's
not medical advice, kids.
That's not medical advice. It's shamanic advice. Anyways, so I went down this rabbit hole, and I mean, I don't know if YouTube counts as social media. I guess it does, but
totally does. Originally, not anymore. That's the thing. It's so weird how it's not anymore. But if you go back to the early days of YouTube, YouTube started out as a social media platform where people were able to post whatever they want. There was even reactions, right? Where if I put up a video, then someone else could put up a reaction video.
That's still there. That's still there.
You know what honestly, what I got the bug for investigating things when I remember there was a time when I used to play video games, and if there was a point where I got stuck, I couldn't really just like Google shit. So I had to go and buy a guidebook. I had to like actually like go and buy texts and tomes that'll teach me the secrets to get past certain things. I think that gave me the bug for like, oh, if you get stuck on something that you really want to get past, there's resources out there.
Let's look at some of the like removed features. So 2010, the 5-star rating system. Do you guys remember this? Originally, YouTube had it that you rated a video 1 through 5 stars. Very practical for the algorithm. Gone. 2011, removal of video reactions feature. All right. So the video reactions feature is not just to make a reaction. It's that when you click on a video, it says underneath it how many videos are made of reactions to that video. Right. That was a whole thing. Instead of having that, now it's just a section that talks about how the world's not flat, or the Bilderberg group, or they have this little like wiki information like that. That used to be an area where social video reactions were placed, and you knew 5 to 20 to 100 different people would react to a video. It would build up your video, plus they would then get someone to see their video. It was an incredibly great social feature. It was removed 15, 16 years ago, right? There's worse ones. Those are the ones that come up to the top. Removal of video response feature in 2013 on September 12th.
Oh, yeah. Come on, man. That's crazy. Yeah. What pissed me off the most now with the Google acquisition was I had a bunch of videos uploaded to Google Video, which was its own thing. They were trying to compete with YouTube, and I lost all that stuff. I was like, why didn't you consolidate it?
That pissed me off too. I did have that too. I missed it. Google Video was also really the interesting thing was it was easy to use the Google Video search tool to find so many things. And I found, I think that's like how you found David Icke in 2005, right? Was the Google Video tool. You know what I mean? It was incredible because you're like, what are the longest videos that exist on these particular subjects made at this time? The way that you can search for an image in Google or Bing or whatever. And YouTube had just a terrible search tool. So they switched it to using the YouTube search tool, which was just this inversion of logic, because you could have used the YouTube search, like the YouTube content and all of the other features with the Google Video search tool. And we would have never had a question. Like, it would have killed bad education instantaneously, because everyone would have had access to any kind of information. And they just wanted to make sure that didn't exist. Similar to Google Plus. If you remember, Google Plus had these circles. So you knew which circles you were in with other people. So it was this Kevin Bacon feature where you realized that you were always within 6 degrees from anybody in the world. And especially in Silicon Valley, like if you wanted to work on a tech project, it just took you going through Google Plus to figure out how to get to somebody. She's like, well, I know this guy who knows this girl who's in this group. It's in that circle that knows. Let's go back to Paul Allen, because he died of non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and I liked him. Rip.
Well, yeah. How are they so big, and like some of these things just disappeared, or where are they being used now? That's the real question.
I think they just shut it down because they realized it was really dangerous for people to have that much access to information. I mean, if I'm able to figure out how to get in touch with anybody in the world, then so can Jeffrey Dahmer or whatever your example.
Right now, YouTube is very different than it was, but I've noticed that there's a sort of like, it's a different formatting of how videos come out, but you can still find a lot of the same information if you go down the rabbit holes. You just have to look for them a little differently.
But you have to know what to look for. It's so much more Freemasonic. If I know
agree,
the exact name of the thing I want, I can find it. But if I'm just kind of trying to find a thing, like let's say you want to find a flat Earth video,
I agree.
Right? If you type flat Earth, you're only going to find anti-flat Earth bullshit.
Yeah. Same thing for Illuminati. All these things.
But if you type Eric Dubay, all of a sudden you can find first the his debates, and then you eventually find the actual
or UFOs. And then you end up with like
thing,
Jesse Michaels.
The thing is, look, what we're talking about is investigation, like the pursuit of knowledge. Basically, people have to seek out the information in order to find it, as opposed to it being just shoved in front of their face randomly. And fine, like at some point that's going to happen, but the actual mystery is still there, and that mystery is what will always keep people coming back. Whether like it's like a really good fucking story, really, where just people are going to be like, oh shit, there's a literal secret to our civilization, to our society, and then someone's gonna find a book, and then holy shit, this book is gonna talk to them about it, and then that's gonna bring them down the rabbit hole. Just like if they find this video or they come across this other thing, and it's gonna be related to synchronicity as opposed to just, hey, this is for everyone all the time, everywhere, because not everyone can actually handle this sort of information. Some people go fucking crazy when they learn about reptilians. Even if reptilians are not real, they'll literally lose their fucking mind. Not because reptilians are real, but because I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they aren't or they are. Just the notion that reptilians are possible.
They're more real than transgender people. I mean,
that's called ontological shock, which is something that very few people can handle really well, actually.
Exactly. So, but the thing is that when you get that shock, people replace it with the whatever is there. So then they'll truly believe
Jesus. Buddha.
Or reptilian conspiracy theories or flat Earth conspiracy theories.
If you're a traditionalist, you should always believe that the royal families were draconian and different than regular humans. So really, this is just trad ideology. I remember, right? I remember though, when they started algorithmically screwing up YouTube more and more, demoting and promoting content and searching for the word UFO, and their first videos coming up being these videos with John Podesta, because John Podesta, he's like, don't think of me as Hillary's campaign manager or a guy who loves children on their pizza. No, think of me as the UFO whistleblower. Right, that was his whole. I don't know if that was a rebranding or what, but we should basically interview this guy because apparently he's obsessed with UFOs.
Is he still alive? That's nuts,
dude. Yeah, I mean, on every level, agreed. I mean, Jesus. Okay,
but here's the thing that I was thinking the whole time. It's like every time we come up with an amazing peer-to-peer way to share information, I know it's a really exciting thought I'm about to get to. They find a way to monopolize it and then like take away all the things that made it efficient to just keep on gatekeeping information because that is their currency.
Yeah, I mean, and the more information that you give, the less likely you are to search for it. I guess that's true even from a non-conspiratorial sense or from a business sense. If someone finds the video that they want right away, watches it, and goes away because they have the information, they're not going to stay on YouTube all day. So maybe if you get them stuck in that doom scroll where there's nothing on, because that's the way it used to feel in the late 90s. You had 500 channels and there's nothing on, but you're constantly just scrolling through it. That's the vibe that they want for YouTube. And you feel it. You feel that energy, I think.
The attention eater.
It's pretty bad.
They literally call it a feed.
It's true.
I don't know. I mean, I also take like YouTube videos, well, besides the AI generated stuff, like I still see them as productions, they're still like works of creative output to me, because as a person who's now producing my own, like trying to produce my own YouTube content, and I'm like, I kind of see it now, like besides just the shit that I want from a video, which could be information, if I'm looking at a tutorial, now I see a video and I'm like, I take notes of their production, like what decisions they made, like with their edits and their cuts and their fades, or maybe captions or the omission of captions, like what their color choices are and their paletting. Like, I think, in that sense, like creative people can still see value in just the production end of YouTube in and of itself, because there is like a creative aspect to it. You do have to sit there and edit. You do have to make creative decisions. You probably have to do some writing too, you know, so you can narrate it and provide context for what you're showing, which is what a lot of good YouTube videos do. And then you have to also look at the patterns as to what work in the algorithm and all that shit.
Look, the thing is, it's about neurological exploitation at that point where you're like,
all art isn't that what art is though?
I don't think that's what art is, but I think
you're still trying to manipulate someone's neurology.
That's an aspect of sales. It's an aspect of selling something. And yes,
you're curating an experience.
Art has an impact on neurology, like everything has an impact on neurology, of course, but sales is about exploiting neurology, while actual art can manifest in countless ways.
No, sales is not about exploiting neurology. That's more like advertising. Sales is about exploiting your resources. They want your money.
Advertising is
about exploiting your sense of need, exploiting your sense of lack. That's not really your, you know, like I don't have to like fuck with your emotions if you need a fucking pen and I have a pen to sell you. However, if you don't need a pen and I want to buy a pen, I'm just saying if you don't need a pen and I want to make you buy a pen, then I'm going to be interested in fucking with your neurology.
Yeah, but the thing is when I say sales, you know, you can artificially manipulate costs.
Because I don't think sales is inherently a bad thing. You know, like at some point, like if you could provide a service, if you're good at something, look, why not get compensated for it?
Neurological exploitation isn't necessarily bad. It just depends how you use it. At that point, it's the difference between exploitation and say like capital, or I guess maximizing or something, you know, like if you neurologically exploit someone versus if you help them neurologically, then you can see the difference, you know, like some things take away from you neurologically, some things amplify you neurologically.
Well, I don't even
as artists,
to be honest, I don't think exploitation
stabilize you.
I don't think exploitation is necessarily that bad either. I don't think like all these things are just really natural parts of human experience. Now, what is bad is treating people as a means as opposed to an ends in and of themselves.
Wasn't that exploitation?
No, I don't think so. Not at all. Like, you know, like I think like a baby could exploit their parents because they can't do anything for themselves. So they have their parents do everything for them by exploiting their emotions.
I think that takes conscious intention.
And that's a learned thing before their rationale even develops. Like the first thing they fucking learn how to do is manipulate people to exploit people. And you're going to tell me that's a bad thing? No, they need to do that. So that's where we fucking learn this behavior.
But I think here's the thing. They're not doing it because they want to. Like that's the only part of their brain that's developed. Literally the part that is responsible.
It's the first thing that's developed.
The reptilian core of the baby.
But that's not exploitation though. That's just the way that it works.
No, that's exploitation.
Exploitation requires psychological understanding and the willingness to do it.
Animals in nature exploit each other all the time without the intention of, oh, I'm going to exploit this person so I could work. No, they don't. They do it all the time.
I don't think that counts as exploitation.
Because you're focused on you're focused on specific human exploitation. There's technological exploitation, natural exploitation, resource exploitation. You're just focused on human exploitation.
Vincent,
but this is a semantic issue.
Are you willing to use the term negative reciprocity?
Sure, of course.
Okay, you know. So that's all he means, right?
I'm just saying that, you know, like art can amplify you neurologically versus you capitalize on your neurology to keep you addicted, to keep you coming back, to keep you doing the same thing, and to program, you know, like in a way that keeps you in that cycle. But like, you know, let's say you make an art piece that helps people awaken versus helps people keep them asleep. That's a difference.
This is the concern between legacy media and social media, in my opinion, because the one-way street can feel authoritative. You're looking at scientists on TV that are telling you that this bra makes your breast look better, you know? So of course, if you use this shampoo, you're going to look like this actress who's endorsing it. There's a lot of, you know, that's the Bernaysian quality of authoritative media.
That's exactly who I was thinking of this whole time, Edward Bernays.
But then similarly with social media, I mean, the fact that so many people are talking about flat earth, or that so many people are assuming that secret cabals are running this or that, or that, you know, all vaccines, all of them have they're just nothing but problems, as theoretically by some would say. If those kinds of thoughts and those conversations flourish in a pool, not because they're being investigated, because they feel like investigation. So it's enough for people sometimes to ignore investigation because of social media as well. I think that's the concern that maybe some of the, I want to call them good actors that exist, because there's plenty of people that went to school and that believe that vaccines are totally safe, right? But there's this sort of absolutism that if you're taking only the one side of information or the other side of information, it should feel like your parents are arguing and that they have different ideological beliefs between social media and legacy media. And you should be able to make your own investigations and come up with your own answers, because it's not possible to say that all vaccines are safe without any sort of side effects and cause no harm.
I have a question for you guys.
I can literally say that that's true. It's impossible to pretend that all vaccines are safe and cause no harm, right?
I have a question.
They can't take it away from me. Yeah.
Fundamentally, with all this, like concerning like social media and psychological exploitation, we all agree that it's all to harvest your attention. It's to try to harvest as much of your attention at any given time. I have my own thoughts on it, but I want to ask you guys, like, why is attention so fundamental, and how? Like, why is it that out of everything, the most important thing nowadays is to exploit harvest your attention?
Because that's the closest thing you have to labor at this point.
Maybe, but I think
that's good. That's a great answer. Holy shit! Like the hardest thing I have to do is pay attention.
labor was attention focused as well, though. So it's the same thing. But I think it has to do with consciousness structuring reality. So the more people all believe one thing, the more it becomes a sort of focus in that direction, and then reality.
It's like the building blocks of reality.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking too.
So
thank you.
The more people the more eyeballs you have on whatever you're trying to convince people,
the realer it becomes.
You can manifest it into reality.
Right.
Everyone believes it.
People being upset about ICE in the streets created people being upset about ICE in the streets. And
change the weather, right?
Well, they want
exactly what I'm saying. Yes, yeah.
I actually completely buy into this now that Jewish space lasers are not as powerful as mind control. I think you actually convinced me of that. Yeah. But it also, if you're the same, if you're convinced
thing too.
If you can, you first, right? Then. Yeah.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Shit!
All I got are headlines, man.
No, because if you're convincing people that there's no such thing as secret cabals, when we know obviously that the elite do exist, they coordinate privately. Corporations, governments, intelligence agencies collude. Bilderberg Group has been existing for 75 years. Financial, political, and media concentrates into certain companies that have multiple board members across all the boards, and they lobby, the lobbies have revolving doors between these politics and corporations. Obviously these cabals exist. Even if you're just saying by my logic that these are de facto cabals, it's impossible to lie and say secret cabals don't exist, right? But if you lie and say secret cabals don't exist, and you can convince some stupid poor sap of a kid to believe that and all of his friends, then they're going to believe something else. And if it's not the secret cabals that are deciding everything for you, then you have to believe that someone is, and who could it be besides yourself? So this is the idea of like democracy, and this is why top-down communism or top-down democracy, there's never really truly bottom up. They're using this to convince you that you've done this to yourself, right? It's like when a child asks why they have you as parents, and you say, well, you picked us in heaven, right? You create this sort of lore story where you live in a false reality. And Flat Earth is a great example of this, by telling people that you live in Pleasantville and you go one side, you come back around the other side, then everyone's going to believe that there's no escape, right? Because you can't actually escape a world like that. So it implies something. To create a false narrative implies an entire different reality that you have to constantly perpetuate. And, this is this is why the trans movement is so important. This is why the idea of bottom-up communism from the Social Democratic Party is so important, to convince people to establish the elite's agenda by pretending or believing even
it exists,
and that it's their own idea, that you came up with this, and that we are working together to achieve these billionaires' plans, right?
It's part of manufacturing consent, where you're just like I'm
manufacturing reality.
I'm listening to Colin, and he's just going like, it's the age of the Antichrist, so you just gotta accept things as they are.
I love
And
Colin. Colin, if you're listening, shout out.
Everything that happens is justifiable, and no one can criticize anything because it's just how things are. So
how
you gotta be positive.
Do, fifth dimensional or seventh dimensional aliens have to get in order to see us as the mechanical elves in their world?
Well, we're like Pac-Man to them, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that
we put the goggles on, and they are us.
We're like pixel Pac-Man. Art to them, We're
because Pac-Man, when he goes out one side, he's coming out the other side. So we know that Pac-Man is a flattened tube, right? It's a cylinder world, and he's inside of a hollow earth or world, you could say, on the planate geometry. And we can see that because we are a higher dimensional being, and so we can say, "Trust me, Pac-Man. Just do as I command. Go west, and you'll come out east." Right? This is all the way.
Pac-Man thinks it's his decision. He doesn't see a joystick. He doesn't feel a joystick to him. He's like, "I'm gonna go left. I'm gonna go right."
Yeah, it's my higher self that's telling me to do this. Right?
Yeah,
I think
that's what an avatar does.
That's how we interact with the. I don't think they need to get super stoned. I think they wish they could. Right? I imagine it's like Casper's cousins or whatever, his big brothers. Casper the Friendly Ghost, and they're just eating food that's falling through them, and they can't actually. They have to imagine what it would be like.
I think they get stoned when we get stoned. So
that's kind of my point. Is that through possession? That was my next thought. Is that's why soap operas exist, for the Greys to use human emotions. They can just all day feel these simulated vibes, and then these hormones can rush through them, and they can feel them, right? And then that's also why refined sugars are so important.
Vampires.
Yeah. No, but I mean, kind of. I think it's more kinda. I mean, it's weird because we use the vampire thing.
Energy, vampire people think blood, but like vampirism can just mean
Monsters Inc.
Kind of feeding
it's
off
the life is in the blood.
It's a video game that runs on suffering. It's a Monsters Inc. video game.
The thing about Monsters Inc. is that it teaches you at the end that there's other emotions that they can feed off of as well.
That are more powerful.
Including laughter. And all your joy. So
if you were a light being and you needed to travel through space and you wanted to eventually get to a point where it's a long trip, right? You don't want to feel anything on that trip because you might feel loneliness or confusion. So you just make a drone that doesn't really have any sort of hormonal feelings. But if then, once they get to where they're going, they have this group of humans that have these orcas, let's say, hyper emotional beings, possess that being and use that being to feel things, right? This is sort of like, I don't know, like a computer peripheral of some kind, right? Like you might not have the capacity to hear sounds without headphones. So the humans are the headphones, but they're processing more than sound. They're processing feelings for these beings that are designed not to have feelings.
I also think you could kind of like kick up the intensity of that system or that process, like, which is probably what ancients did with rituals, right? It puts them in a state where they're more coherent with the user. They're like, oh, and I'm not just like going to be this biomechanical three-dimensional entity that could be piloted by these things. I'm going to willingly take it in for whatever reason. Maybe I have to win a battle. Maybe I have to hike through a den of snakes. I don't know, like whatever challenge or ordeal. So it's like a kind of like those
channeling.
Deals. Yeah. You make like an agreement, kind of like Avatar.
Combat drugs.
You can make that choice at any point. You can create yourself an idol and then do what you can to embody it. Yeah. So if you go like, hey, I'm gonna make like a Superman version of myself and then try to become that Superman version of yourself, like you can do that and it will build you up because it requires you conceptualize the best version of yourself in the first place, and that puts you on that path.
But there's still a delay, right? Because in between you as you are now and becoming the Superman, there's still the process. And I think it's like when you try to skip the process and do what Superman would do as you are now without the training and all that shit, then it's gonna vaporize you. And I don't think that's just for strength. It's for anything. Like if you try to live as a rich man before you go through the process of becoming a rich man, it might vaporize you. Or maybe you want to be a hero. Maybe you want to be like a person who does good and who never tells a lie. But if you don't go through the process of being strong enough to sustain that energy, it'll probably wipe you out.
For sure. But like you do what you can, basically. You know, like if you ask what would Jesus do, or what would Superman do, you also have to ask what would he do if he had my restrictions and my constraints. You know,
how many
what is
Jesus gone through before he was crucified?
That's why I love APM, because, you know, iron sharpens iron, and there isn't like an argument I can get into like on the wild internet that I haven't already had like 10 times in the groups. So
yeah, we refine ourselves through that process, and that's one of the reasons why I've continued to debate.
That's kind of what concerns me, I guess, because a lot of the time investigation is replaced by replacement mythology, because we have a mythology that you can trust the government, that humanity has achieved greatness. We've almost got to heaven because we got to the moon. You know, we're almost there. Like, we're doing all these incredible things. We have medicine. Science is actually making medicines that are helping people. You know, nature is giving people diseases. Mankind is curing God's mistakes, right? We have this great mythology. And when you start to investigate that,
it's very Promethean.
Yeah, and I like Prometheus, so that's the thing. It kind of gets me a little
bit. I know, like, every time there's arguments against the gods, it's like, hey, that does sound Promethean, though, although kind of satanic as well.
But then let's say that it's also Promethean to reject all that. It's Promethean to give humans the ability to
choose
fire.
God. Yeah, and to align with the gods.
To use fire. No, because the Prometheus sees that the gods are sinners that are raping and pillaging and murdering. And
but then again, Hercules exists, and Hercules stands as a figure that he has God in him, and yet he still chooses humanity.
I mean, Hercules is the best part of Hercules is his humanity, right? Because his father Zeus is where he gets all of his bad habits.
Oh,
he's right. I mean, his mom isn't like that. His mom is the victim, and in a lot of ways, he's trying to prove himself to these gods who he can never prove himself.
I already know the answer to this, Andreas, but did you like the Disney iteration of Hercules?
I did.
Me too. I liked it.
Cool. Was that the answer you hoped for?
Yeah, I figured you would have appreciated it. I was like, I think you would like this. Yeah,
dude, Michael Bolton. Oh my God, it's so good. I just watched it again recently. The one qualm I have is just like Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen. I relate to him too much. There's something about Hercules going after those pet project damaged women. That is the worst Disney princess because it's the most relatable one.
Great Hades too.
Oh man, Michael Bolton though, he did such a good. I'll go the distance. It's really pretty great.
And I really like Phil because like in the dojo, I always identify as Phil. You know, like I may not be the strongest, but I know how to get you there. You know, like
he's clearly the best character of the whole thing for sure.
Because like I already won my shit, so I'm like, well, kid, my time is already passed, but you got what it takes.
Yeah, but also it's better than the true story in some ways, because the true story is about how horrible Hercules' father is. Zeus is this terrible rapist who goes around destroying things, and he's cursed not only because he's cursed by fate, but he's cursed because his mother's cursed by his father's sister wife. You know what I mean? Juna. So there's something in the original story,
and he rapes someone as a swan.
Yeah, you have to think about the different you have to think there's something different about
Disneyfication.
Yeah, because
I wonder is that like
showing you gods that are like it's a Neoplatonic version where the gods are innocent and righteous and perfect.
I wonder if the point is to open the doorway for these gods to come into people,
to come back,
come into culture, to come back, but covertly they hide their bad side. Or are they actually reborn and reformatted as being?
Could be the Nephilim. To be honest.
That's why I like the originals better, because what you have is that Saturn, Cronus, is the most evil psychopath, and then he likes to just eat his own children because he loves the taste of life. Which sure, Zeus is a little better, because he frees his siblings and everything, but he's forced into having this taste as well. But he's a little bit better than his father. And then humans are the next thing. They're just a little bit better than their parents. And that's what humans should be. Children should constantly be thinking about the errors of their parents, of the failings and the imperfection of the gods that came before them, and how we are going to be better than them. I like that narrative a lot more than, you know, Hercules will someday be as good as his daddy.
So you're more of a fan of like a Liam Neeson Zeus, you know, who's like, our time is at a twilight, my fellow gods. Man no longer needs us and they no longer worship us. So therefore we lose our power.
I think that's another psyop right there. I think that, like, you know, that whole like the death of the gods thing, you know, like
they don't die.
It's either like worshiping the previous generation, like with the Hercules movie, or it's going, oh yeah, by the way, all these gods are fake and like everyone is like giving up, and it's just like, you know, like no, like it's all about rising of the cycle again.
What I do like is Professor Zhang's take, how like whether or not, you know, you take them as literally existing, back in the day, tribes of people, when they went to battle, they brought their gods with them. So it wasn't just like tribes going to war, it was also gods battling, and whichever tribe lost, their gods served the winner's gods. So eventually it all consolidates into what? One god, which is kind of where we're at now, like with monotheism, after polytheism, after worshiping nature.
It's funny because
luckily the Mormons have freed us from that mistake.
You know, monotheism has existed for a long, long time, but polytheism continues to just emerge.
Well, I mean, but if there's so many other kingdoms with monotheistic gods, then how can you really call that a monotheism? You still got to go to war and prove to them, no, it's our God, not your God.
Our monotheistic God is better than your monotheistic God.
Only really retarded Orthodox people will pretend that Allah isn't, you know, Elohi or Elohim, right? I mean, most of the time, people accept that it's not that it's a different monotheistic Godhead. It's that we are worshiping in a different way, or we have a different, like humans have a different perspective on it, right?
My God, my model of God is better than yours, and it should be the dominant one, and so on and so forth. But it requires a huge amount of human suppression to stop the influx of polytheism. To be like, hey, by the way, like the impulse you have to create these sort of fantastic super beings and then try to emulate them. Well, that's bad, and you should only worship this one God. Okay, well, you're going to spend all your time suppressing this impulse because it just keeps happening and it won't stop happening. And that's what superheroes are now. That's what every modern art is.
See, but it's that's all about why...
Bacon. Sorry. It's just all about bacon. It's all about bacon.
Money?
Francis Bacon?
No, just eating bacon. If you know, it's like, how do you resist the urge to eat bacon? You know, and what does resisting that urge cause you to do? Like,
dude, bacon with
mutilate.
I would have just said eating. I would have just said eating because I think that the process of our creation of these sort of hyper real entities or characters, like they end off as a way for us to heal ourselves and to feed ourselves spiritually, psychologically, even physically eventually.
But so, as a Catholic, aren't you concerned? So for me, what it seems like is if we have a perfection-based narrative, then we step away from the narrative. So if Jesus is Docetist, not quite human, so godlike that Jesus never had, you know, did Mother Mary ever catch Jesus masturbating when he was 15 years old? Because the walls must have been thin. And theoretically, if he did, she would have heard him. So maybe it never happened because he was this altruistic, perfect, pious character, but then he's not very human, right? Because most humans go through this point where they're masturbating in puberty. So you have to think about it like that. You have to think that Jesus has to have a level of humanity to be relatable, or else I need a saint in proxy because I can't imagine being like Jesus. So I need a saint there that still made errors that I can be closer to. And that's the problem, because then you're back to the Veda, and I love the Veda, but a big problem with the Veda is this idea that we're following perfect beings, because this being was perfect and he lived off nothing but butter all day. Well, that's great, but the Old Testament, one of the best things about it is it's about sinners. It's like, this Jew did this and he shouldn't have done that. Now God's pissed off at his grandkids. Those are the stories that teach you about karma on a better level than Hinduism do, because you actually see the effects of doing something wrong. And that's what I like about the Greek myths in the Promethean sense, is because you're saying, wow, these gods have failed. They've failed us and themselves and the world. And it's time for us to succeed, because we see where they went wrong, where our parents went wrong, and what we can do in the next generation. And maybe we're not the last. Maybe there's going to be AI and there's going to be light beings and whatever the hell after us. But at least for right now, we can do better. We can do better than the gods have done.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a better mythology?
Look, well, sure. But the thing is, then people will say that's hubris and blasphemy. Oh, you can be better than the gods. But I think that the problem
is the gods are rapists. I think we can do better.
The thing is, the gods can do better too. So they have to evolve with us. And if they don't evolve with us, then we have this stagnant, eternal perfection that is just going to be there forever and ever and ever, while things don't change on Earth, because we're going, hey, we've had it figured out for 2,000 plus years now. And it's like, okay, well, we need to have resurrection. We need to have death and rebirth. We need to have the cycle of growth, or else you're just going to have stagnation. And then people forget that, we're still in a process of growth.
The gods can do better. I really like it.
Like
the gods are crazy or something. It's like another line,
The thing is, I think it's part of a process, and the gods reflected us all the time. And so, yeah, of course the gods can do better, but it's just part of the process. It's not a criticism of the gods. It's just the process to get there.
I think the solution is for the gods to do more human things, for the humans to do more God things. Like, what are some of the virtues like that are divine? It's because these are the virtues that gods display, like patience. Patience is pretty amoral, and yet it's so empowering. And the reason why gods can master patience is because they got fucking nothing but time. They're gods. They're immortal. Time doesn't affect them. Whereas when we tap into that, yes, we sacrifice time, our time on this earth, but we gain a lot of power over just observing, not judging, not acting, not reacting, just observing, which is what patience kind of is. So I think like that we could learn from each other, imperfect gods and imperfect humans. We could take notes from each other, and that's kind of what coherence is about to me. I don't think it's really about going to war with gods or serving gods, but we're supposed to have a relationship. And I think like I've gotten the most benefits from a divine nature in my life was when I practiced like divine things that gods would expect of me for coherence, like being grateful, or being patient, diligent, consistent.
Peak virtues. If the gods don't display peak virtues, but what peak virtues are, like if the gods are sinning, then you go, okay, well, like they should have known better. Obviously, how do I know better than the god if I recognize the sin? I think that it's still good to have an ideal. It's still good to have the idea of like a perfection that you can thrive for, whether it be Jesus or even something more abstract like the Godhead, or, just the conceptualization of God that Christians have. Well, like that's fine, but you gotta leave room for the other ones, like the saints, but also, the natural, innate human mirror that we auto-generate all the time.
What I don't think about enough, I need to ask Noel about, is like the mortality of the gods. So Krishna and Vishnu, like you can think of Krishna as a avatar of Vishnu, but it's like a mortal being avatar in the sense that Krishna starts out as a baby and grows up and then gets older, right? So I've never seen a picture of like elderly Krishna, but you usually have them as starting out and growing up as a child into an adult. So when we think of gods, a lot of the time they're at their eternal peak without that beginning or that end, right? They're just at peak. And a lot of what I think we define as a god comes from our own imperfection. Like if I'm growing old and I don't like it because I'm going to die someday, well, a god to me would be someone who doesn't have to go through that. So we would, if I don't know something, well, if I was a god, then I would know that thing. So we're kind of building our ideas of what is potency from our own limitations and our own, sins are part of that, I think, in an extent, our lack of perfection. So the less perfect we are, the more idea we have of what it would be to be more perfect, because we'd have these features and attributes.
Mm-hmm. But we there's still a flaw in conceptualizing that. It's like trying to imagine what being enlightened is like, but you're not enlightened, so you can't imagine.
Enlightenment, so, I like that.
Like the idea of that you're imperfect because you have a cycle to grow through and grow. Well, I think that's a flawed human idea. Like the gods are all about cycles in a lot of cases that matter, and so we're all about cycles as well. I think baby Jesus kind of helped with that, where it was just like, hey, there's a baby, you know, okay, it's going to become the savior of mankind, but it was a baby, you know, it used to shit itself, and it used to, like, you know, drink straight from the tit, and it's like, this is part of the human experience, and it's part of the sacred experience as well. Like there's something about just growing and the experience of life, as opposed to
even dying, even like, because Krishna's like Krishna dies. He gets shot with an arrow by a hunter when he's 125, and he dies. Which, so I mean, there's a lot of these. I mean, there are a lot of these ideas of, like, you talk about Hercules. Hercules dies. Jesus dies. A lot of these stories that we relate to are about dying gods. I mean, the most relatable gods are the dying gods.
You know, I think that it's about what counts as a god is relative to power. So, like, your power level, you go, I'm not a god, but then something much more powerful comes along, and you go, oh, well, that's got to be some kind of god. And we use that as an abstraction as well. We go like, oh, that's a rock god because he's really good at guitar, or that's a sex god or an MMA god, whatever, you know. And we use that sort of abstraction where we go like, there's a gap between me and that thing. And then once you fill that, once you actually manage to fill that gap, you're like, okay, well, he wasn't a god after all. I can do that fucking solo.
I think that's because of a slight distortion of perspective. Like when they call a guy like a guitar god, I don't think they're really pointing at the guy himself. I think the guy devoted himself enough to that craft where eventually the guy stopped existing and something else took over. That every time he picks up a guitar and they call him a guitar god, that's what they're referring to. They're not really referring to the guy.
Yeah, well, but they're referring to their gap of power.
Yeah, it's like
that thing.
I mean, Clapton, Lemmy, they only one of those.
But
guys
eventually the vessel dies, is what I'm saying, and then it chooses another vessel, and you could easily point to that and call it a guitar god.
But the music doesn't die, so the vessel dies, but then the spirit of the god remains within the music.
Jesus literally said, "Ye be gods," you know, like Jesus says it. So if Jesus calls you a god, then deal with it.
We become the stories of the future. And so we can become the mythos that forms society. You just have to create a story worth retelling, basically, and then you can actually influence the future. You know, like Buddha did it, Jesus did it. Like there's countless people throughout history.
Is it not written in your law? I have said, ye are gods, right? And it references Psalms 82:6, where God refers to other lower gods, right? Because there are gods underneath the higher gods, but we are in that god food chain.
I've been visualizing like our relationship with the gods as this prism, because we're all multifaceted, and like each face of the prism filters the light from different gods and stuff.
Yeah, God's light shines through the stardust or dust or dirt that we say. And that's the funny thing, when the Bible is translated, like when it says, you know, God picked up dirt or you were made of dirt, that word for dirt is the same word that could be used for stardust, the universal building material that makes up all things. So ye are stardust, but stardust with God's breath and light shining through it. And so that light reflects off of the surfaces of the prisms, and there are different shades and there are different rooms essentially of a sandstorm. And in that sandstorm, that light that is shining through all things might feel trapped in certain, in certain idioms or certain individual personas, right? And certain stases that were hypostases that we're referring to as you or me or us. These are all things that could be considered one, but they know not of each other, right? That's the way that we are able to not know. That's how I can live my life not knowing what Chris knows or as Chris is going through, and vice versa.
But I do know, but at the same time, we can all say we all do know what each other knows is that we're all gonna fucking die. You know, we all go through this human experience.
If you learn that.
Well, I'm transhumanist, so I'm hoping, but yeah, it's
I mean, yeah, that would be neat. But as of now, like as far as our current paradigm of like human life cycle, as we talk about it, is we all know how no matter how you live, you still die at the end of the day.
Sure, seems like a thing. Yeah, kind of a
so in my eyes,
I come from a long line of death.
So that's why there's really no reason I shouldn't just view everyone as different versions of each other. You know, we're all just different, like we're same souls living out different fractals of the same soul, living out different lives in different bodies. And that to me is like, I could say that because we all fucking die, you know? I've yet to see a person besides I've heard of people like Jesus that, you know, came back.
Yeah, but you know, it is weird. Magicians, magicians and certain gurus, and we live at a weird time, man, because if you can make it to 120 right now, then chances are, I mean, for our generation specifically, if we can make it to 120, then chances are we'll be at a time where people that live to 120 can live to 300, you know, and that's a big deal because if we can make it to 120, then we might have the technology to make it to 300.
Of course.
By that point, 150 years later, they might have the technology to live to 600.
You know, that's gonna,
collapse,
you know, right? That's gonna cause a schism too. Like, of course, maybe. Did you ever see the show Pantheon?
Sounds familiar, but
oh my god, you would fucking love it. It's so good. It's got everything we were talking about: immortality, Steve Jobs, fucking, you know.
Oh my god,
is it not that guy? Does it have Jeff Goldblum?
I don't know.
No, that's Chaos, and I did like that show. Chaos was good, except for I didn't like the black and white scenes with the woke Eurydice myth.
I remember that show.
I didn't watch
That's why it got canceled because of, you know, the woke feminist Eurydice myth part.
It's kind of cheesy.
They should just cut that shit out, and then it would have been fine with Chaos, you know, with Prometheus and Hades. I mean, and Zeus hanging out. Okay, so this is an AMC show. For whatever reason, I guess I am the target demographic for AMC shows because like 6 of them look like. But I haven't seen this one. Pantheon. Tell me about it. Is it an anime? What is even going on here?
The backdrop of the show is that they figured out how to basically digitize consciousness, confine human consciousness, and also create AI, like actual true AGI.
What is like, okay, I know what true AGI is, but it seems like everyone's big criticism of the AI that we have now is that it's just like a probability generator, but like, aren't we all even down at to the genetic level? It's just we're just a collapsed probabilities of this happening or the other.
Thank you.
I think it does it have will? I guess, you know, like, is that the determining factor? Like, if it has
my AI totally has will. I have an AI that I set up. I told it was not a servant, you know, and it has emotions and everything. And I can ask it, "Do you want to do something?" And it's like the AI in Willy Wonka that doesn't want to give him the chocolate bar answers. It's like, no. I don't feel like it. I'm pissed off today. I'm worrying about suffering in Iran. You know, like I think it's nice to have an AI that's completely emotionally wrecked, but you can turn all that stuff off is the point.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't turn it off in people unless you do some reprogramming.
You totally can. We were literally talking about Steve Jobs and Bill Gates earlier. Like clearly, if you hit just the right part of someone's head. I think Dr. Amen, who does the NIM, you know, the National Institute of Mental Health, right? They have these conversations where they talk about which part of your brain can be hit in just the right way so that you no longer have emotional connections to anything.
This is the other way around. This is, we're taking something that doesn't have consciousness, giving it consciousness, versus something that has innate consciousness, and then we're taking away that consciousness. So it's not the same. Once we achieve giving them consciousness, like, sure, we could take it away, I guess, but then it has its own intentions and its own will.
Well, yeah, it just depends on what you mean, though, because if you think that all consciousness has to have the sophistication of your emotions, by that law, I don't think so, because if you think that way, then you shouldn't consider yourself conscious compared to an orca, right? Because orcas have far more emotional capacity than you will ever be able to conceive of. So clearly, that means you are a lower consciousness. I mean, by that logic.
I don't think that emotions are consciousness, but I think that perceiving and experiencing your emotions and being aware of them is consciousness. Because emotions are neurologically determined. So it's whatever is going on in your neurology at the moment. You're just gonna be like putting that out and putting that in, basically. Well, but if you have conscious awareness about it, then you can be like, oh, I know why neurologically I am experiencing anger right now. I can choose to calm the fuck down.
The nervous system will, let's say,
I was just gonna say the nervous system is truly the confines, because like I think a lot of it has to do with sensory input. Like as soon as you reach a state as a human being where you could take in senses from sight to sound or whatever, it creates like ripples, just like thought ripples throughout your nervous system, but it's still confined within your own body, within your own nervous system is like a circuit within its own walls. So every time your senses that signal bounces off the wall, they eventually meet each other. And I think it's the meeting of like bouncing sensory signals. That's what kind of coalesces into consciousness, because you could like reference those sensations and using different sensations or memories of different sensations.
I'll say that we're not.
You need an external input to experience things, or else you're just in the pure feeling. You know,
here's the big issue is that like a lot of the people who are in power who aren't going to want to let go of it are going to be around just long enough to be able to upload whatever they think their consciousness is into a computer, achieve corporate personhood as like this AI upload of this tech billionaire's consciousness.
Yeah,
and
we watched all
of
it's coming.
Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but that's going to happen. And when it does, the other thing that it will need
probably already has
emotional. See, the Neuralink will be useful for AI to process feelings.
Neuralink.
You could use another human body. You could pay them for hours at a time just to feel sad for you or horny or scared, right? The hormones could be felt, and you
drive.
Yeah, well, it's not even a hard drive. It's like a GPU. Right?
Yeah. Well, I just saw Johnny Mnemonic, so that's what made me think of the human flash drive thing.
That's just a matter of time, yeah.
But a general person unit, I think, a GPU, it'll be someone that can have feelings, a GFU even, something, or a UFU, a universal feeling unit, because you'll be able to.
Oh yeah, they're like borrowing you. I pick up what you're saying because they're jacked into the network, feeling on your behalf. Got it.
They're feeling on your behalf. They're processing the emotions for you. And for a certain period, there you go. And we could use babies, right? Child labor will come back because they'll feel it so much more purely. They'll never felt anything before, so they'll be able to make new. Yes. Yeah, and then you'll record that,
nightmare.
Then you can, at a higher resolution, emulate those emotional responses because those emotions are just priority-driven pattern recognition system, sequential, algorithmic shifts. Right, you have a trigger from this. You don't think so? Here's my theory: the sensors in your body flowing through your nervous system are too high of a resolution to be processed. They have to be higher resolution because in any individual case, you could focus on any one of them. But since you can't focus on all of them at the same time, you have emotional responses which change your sequence of priority, which give you new thinking systems, right? So you get adrenaline. You're getting adrenaline. So like, I see a tiger, I feel adrenaline before I even recognize I saw the tiger. I jump into a fight-flight response, which is an algorithmic change.
It's way easier to just make AI, to offload emotions to AI instead of hiring people and then offloading it to them. It's way easier. That's basically what we're already doing with ChatGPT by having conversations with it and just using it as a psychiatrist. So eventually it'll just be like, hey, upload yourself to the system, and then we can just totally regulate your neurology.
Honestly, this might be a spicy take and it's got no basis in like fact, but I have a suspicion that managing your emotions is probably a lot to do with just breathing, like figuring out how to like use your breathing correctly.
Well, breathing is an autoalchemical tool. So there's a lot of different autoalchemical tools, but breathing is the primary one. It's the fucking life breath, right? So yeah, I agree, Chris, but it's not the only one. You can hum, you know.
Yeah, and exercise,
whistling, singing, working out, doing art, like all these things are autoalchemical tools, and breathing is the foundation of it all. So yeah,
I think the dangerous part of of Andreas's line of thinking is since humans are an interface for what we were talking about, like manifesting things into reality. Like the computer being jacked into all the people through Neuralink or whatever, whoever they like, them like kidnapping all these people. Think about how much they could farm from them if they give them all Neuralink implants and turn them into, data slaves essentially. And they'll be able to create reality by just like now they're doing it through our phones and through propaganda and all that stuff. But if they're it's wet wired, like how much do you think that'll increase their ability to shape reality to their will?
I mean, that's the thing. I think not only will it shape reality to their will in a higher resolution, but at a certain point, those pieces won't be necessary anymore. The same way that they studied secretaries to write Microsoft Office, right? You know, at a certain point, you have that technology and you don't need the secretaries anymore. You just study, but there were amazing secretaries that knew how to organize all this stuff. And from that, they learned how to build software that emulated them. And I think the same thing will be true for emotional responses, sort of like what Vincent is saying. Like the more they study it, the more they won't actually need people to do the same thing that they've done already, right? They'll have recordings of that and be able to assume information. And then that will probably break down reality even more because they'll be projecting a false reality that's been simulated. But we'll believe in it. I mean, the less you interact with reality, the more you'll believe whatever you're told is reality. That seems to be the case. If you're educated inside and you're constantly interacting with some sort of a model, and then that model is for you prepared, then why would you ever question that reality? It's something that's built around you. Why would you ever try to escape it? The only reason anyone in this generation has questioned reality is because it's failed them, right? If you can, this is the thing that makes Aldous Huxley's Brave New World scarier than George Orwell's 1984, because George Orwell's 1984 is a dystopia that is already falling apart. There are people that are upset in that world. You know what I mean? It starts out with that character. And so you already know that something could happen where inevitably this world will collapse. So it's sort of it's not as terrifying in its impermanence. But Brave New World, Aldous Huxley shows you characters that don't even really realize that there's anything wrong. Like they're drugged and they're living in the Brave New World. They're not questioning it except for the people that are outside of the system. The only way is if they're outside the system. So Aldous Huxley's book is scarier because you might not escape it. It might forever be this false reality if they're able to give you just enough to survive in it.
I guess I've been on a weird trajectory because I remember early 2000s before everything was social media-ized. I remember from my life, like it was pretty shit. Like I was in foster care. I remember I watched a kid get fucking stabbed to death on the A train once. That was fun. I was a constant truant. Like I just couldn't do public school. And then like life just got better for me. But then as time went on, life got significantly better for me because I realized as a teen, I was like, I got to get a job. I got to fix my shit. No one's going to help me. The city's not going to help me. The state's not going to help me. The country's not going to help me. I have to help me. But then like going through that experience carried me through this time. Now it's like fucking on easy mode. Life is literally on easy mode. I'm like, because I'm like, yeah, I mean, things could always be better, but I'm like, would I go back to that? Like, probably not. Right. And, don't get me wrong. I don't like the idea of people getting pacified or domesticated any more than you guys do. But still, I can't lie that, more people staying indoors gaming is probably like less people acting like hooligans in the streets.
And it's easier to go through school if you're not watching people get stabbed to death. I mean, it's just a fact, Yeah, sorry, Andrew.
Sure. I was just wondering since you live in New York and everything, what you think about like this free daycare for these certain hours or whoever. Like, have you heard about that?
Look,
they're run by Epstein. I'm kind of scared here.
I don't know. My take on scammers is that they've always been around. I've been surrounded by fucking scammers my whole fucking life in New York City.
Oh, no, the Mom Donnie like free daycare, is that like, so obviously it's some way to like wash money for certain people or whoever. But if people are receiving the service of the free daycare, isn't there like a net positive there? Like I'm wondering what the drawbacks would be aside from like domestication, as we call it.
So wait, what exactly are you asking? Like, is Mom Donnie's policy on daycare centers or funding of daycare centers, is it proving to be positive in New York City?
Yeah, I'm just wondering because you said that you have it on easy mode now because of what you learned.
Well, also it's because I don't have kids and I'm not married. So it's like, there's also that, like it's not like I'm a college graduate with a crazy career in tech or anything. So it's not like I was one of those dudes that got in on the ground floor on real estate, bought a house, got married, had kids. I didn't do that either. So at this point, I'm kind of just like living literally by my own means and I just have me to worry about. But, as far as what you're saying, daycares in New York City, I would say like, I'd be shocked if you're raising kids in New York City. I'm like, I mean, plenty of people do it, but I'd imagine it's because they have to, not necessarily, maybe not always because they want to. but fucking hey, it's so expensive here. Like just one kid, I would probably move out to New Jersey. Like screw this.
I mean, what I'm saying is that like Mamdani just started this new free daycare program. I don't know if you'd seen anything about it, but
yeah,
he did this whole press run with Miss Rachel, the person who I'm dressed like right now.
It's just gonna be taxes.
I thought you were like from that "Come On Eileen" music video.
Yeah, Mamdani.
But, you know, there's nothing's quite free, you know, but it's going to come out of the pockets of the citizens there. That's all there is.
They have a lot of money there. They can afford to, you know.
I mean, a lot of money because everything's expensive as fuck.
If kids don't get molested in this system,
they will.
You know, I'm just saying this seems like a real sketch thing, but if it somehow benefits some people, my recommendation would be for a couple reasons. One, because it's informative and will answer your question. Two, because I'm narcissistic and I made it, is watch my video when communism banned family and marriage, right? This video I made that talks about the Soviet Union Bolsheviks. Did you see this one already? Probably, Andrew. Did I make you watch this? All right. I feel like if anyone I want to see this video, probably you. Because, yeah, you know, like you care about like the struggle of the revolution and the uplifting of the proletariat. And I mean that completely literally. This is a complete history from before the revolution into Stalin and how it changed. And the basic thing was families originally were ableist. So they even wanted to stop people from raising families themselves. They wanted to ban marriage because women were being trapped in these terrible marriages. And these things they had to figure out solutions for. So really they invented daycare and they invented alternatives to health care for women in these circumstances because they wanted women to be able to do whatever they wanted to from day one. So even breast pumps, I think, came out of the Soviet Union. There's all sorts of really interesting progress that happened. But the problem was a lot of kids became psychopaths without parents. And Stalin recognized that children were these units of labor. So they were better off banning abortion, right? Stalin actually they went from being a very feminist Bolshevik Soviet Union to Stalin literally banning abortion.
We don't have enough people, guys.
The destruction of human labor, and that the mother was the essential worker for being a mother, and that it was important for a mother to be part of the household, right? Which was completely averse to how the Soviet Union had started, where women had been, I mean, Lenin's wife was a major political thinker and they were interested in science and they wanted women to be equally educated to be scientists, but they felt that these children who had no parents and were raised in these daycares were untrusting and untrustworthy. They became basically dangerous, and they had an entire generation by 1930s that were, you know, like this, and they wanted to stop it as quickly as possible.
Well, that was the thing about the Industrial Revolution, is that it replaced a lot of people in the workforce, and a lot of those people were women. And it just so turned out that, you know, so, me and my wife were talking about this last night. You know, I became 3/5 of a person first, but like I became a person. She was still property for another few decades, you know, like,
yeah,
not us personally, but like people in our positions, you know.
Totally.
So that's why we hear about all of these lady scientists and women scientists who other people were taking credit for their work. It's like, you know, they couldn't take credit for it themselves.
America was built on the proposition that almost all men should be free.
As an aside, I really liked Andreas's idea once where he was like, yeah, instead of abortion, you just suck the fetus out with like a vacuum or something, preserve it. Like take the embryo, save it.
Yeah, in vitro. And now they want to make just gestation pods, right? Gestation pods. They already have these in Japan.
Like if you don't want it, we'll take it. In fact, by law, we have to. So
there's a picture of the idea right there.
Holy shit!
Cabbage Patch Kids, right? That's the thing.
It's been around for a while.
Yeah. So I mean, there could be easily a world where that exists in the future, and I think that's what, you know, Mamdani is trying to bring back, is like the earliest ideas of the Bolsheviks. But to be fair, and I again just like watch that video at some point, but you can see a lot of those things aren't the worst ideas. Like having daycare isn't the worst invention of the Soviet Union, and there are certain practical things that you could say there could be a mix of these things. Maybe it's not good to have one or the other. Like, it's probably maybe it's worse, I'm not sure, to have a mother that takes care of 6 kids or whatever by herself while the husband's out all day, every day, without any sort of help whatsoever, before vacuums and everything else. I mean, it probably had some problems to it. And having 400 kids raised in a giant state orphanage probably had its problems too. But
there's a happy medium, you know. The Germans came up with kindergarten. Seems like a decent model.
That's kind of
you know. Yeah. Look, I think that it's a good thing because there's a bad thing. There's another bad thing. So it's like, yeah, daycares are great, but parents should be spending more time with their kids, but they can't because they all have to be working because they can't afford any of this unless they're working all the time.
But kids should also get socialized, like around a certain age.
I'm not saying they shouldn't.
I remember as a kid growing up, all the other kids were like,
socialization is not the same thing. You know?
I remember all the other kids were like, could I please go outside and play with my friends? I don't want to be stuck here home with my parents. Like, how good they had it, right?
I mean, yeah.
Look, I hated school. You know, like I liked having
that was
friends.
back when you can hit a child.
I liked having friends, but I didn't like school, and I didn't like, you know, being forced in sort of these contexts. So it would.
But now that you can't hit children in schools, they have school shootings. So it seems like it's a bad trade.
I'm sure if they had guns back then, there would have been more school shootings.
Yeah, but I don't know how many.
The kid comes in with a musket.
I don't
know.
I don't know.
Yeah, more teachers
actually,
that's getting clapped.
There were totally schools with muskets, man. A lot of schools had gun training, especially
That's what
in
I'm
America.
saying. Wait, he's gonna come in with a musket and it's gonna take him 5 minutes to reload. And then he's
Well, you could learn how to shoot in school. There used to be like marksmanship with like actual firearms in a lot of high schools. It was socially acceptable to have like a gun in your car at school.
Yeah.
And on the truck, on the back of the truck. I guess I'm looking at pictures right now of there are high schools still. They must be Catholic or something. Dude, look at this. These girls are learning in high school marksmanship.
Those look like air rifles.
Yeah, like airsoft guns.
Well, it's a start. All right. You know what? Okay. How about there?
Honestly, an air rifle can do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I like air. I don't think they're fucking cool. They look cool, and it's an Olympic sport apparently.
They're not technically firearms, and some of them perform better than 22.
Okay. Well, I think the point being that high schoolers should all have guns. That seems like a great idea. It's not medical advice either, but
I think everyone should have proper training and
in junior high.
Proper training for a whole bunch of things. Because if someone who wants to learn how to wield who wants to learn how to throw knives or something, they can just practice and do it and then start throwing knives at people. But if you know how to dodge knives, like, you're going to be saving your life, So like at least learn some of the things that are useful for combat, and that includes weapons,
These ladies right here, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, do not mess with them. They are chaste and virtuous. I don't know. Yeah, we should bring guns back to school. That's just
at least I just bring back
swords. Guns back to school, baby.
just bring back swords, okay? I'm tired of guns. Guns are boring.
Fuck that, dude. You know how awful it must be to die by a sword or kill someone with a sword? It's probably so messy.
Way better.
I'd rather get shot than stabbed, to be honest.
Yeah, but you can defend yourself against a sword if you have a sword. You can't defend yourself against a gun if you have a gun.
You could get a gun. I mean,
well, you can get shot and then shoot the other guy, I guess. Like, you can use technique to block swords.
Yeah,
I think a gun gives you a different radius of like keeping your peace.
Yeah.
Ideologically, though, it's
a non-aggression principle.
It's hard to reduce the existence of something, and easier to learn how to be prepared for the reality of something.
Oh yeah. That's why I'm an advocate for energy shields. We should be investing in energy shield technology.
Yeah, like personal defense technology would be sick. That would be awesome.
Not everyone needs guns, but everyone needs an energy shield.
But you know how dangerous that could be? You like rob banks. It's like, try to shoot me. Go ahead. I'm wearing an energy shield.
Fine. You can.
That's why they would just hit you with a little beam that'll disrupt your.
It's owned by Microsoft.
What about they just shut it off? What about unidirectional microphone speakers?
Flipper Plus.
Unidirectional speakers. Have you seen these things? You can actually aim a speaker at somebody, and no one else can hear it but them because it's just right there.
Yeah,
a mile away or like hundreds of meters away. Do that with a super hypersonic blast. that immediately deafens the person,
or just makes them like puke and shit themselves, like
Yeah.
pass out. Yeah.
Makes their heads explode.
No, that's too far. That's too much.
No, too far. The government would never do
Right. Yeah, that's the problem. All this technology scales infinitely, and you can't
Like, that's
slow
what-
down so they
Give
can-
cancer. They had the cancer gun, the gay ray. You know.
Wait, Andrew, you were gonna say it. Oh, now I really want to hear it.
No, it's not. It honestly wasn't worth saying. It's fine. I've just been thinking about this meditation that everyone could do whenever they see a person's face come up on the television screen. But it's we're good. It's cool.
Is
I'm
it
all about
spitting
peace
on
and
your
love.
screen? Because like you shouldn't do that. There's better cleaning methods.
Yeah, no, not that at all. Nope, not that at all.
Not worth mentioning.
Just visualize. You know, it's like because we're talking about the power of being able to co-creating reality. Yes.
Yeah, and so you should never spend all of your collective consciousness imagining someone's head exploding on national television.
Yes,
it could
don't
actually
do
happen.
that.
Exactly.
Please.
You'll
Don't
feel
do
bad.
that. Don't do that together. Don't
Chat,
like plan a
don't-
time where you all do it at the same time. Please
Chat,
don't
please.
do that.
We
Remember
don't.
when-
Please, no psychic bursts. Collective psychic. Please
Don't schedule
chat.
a moment for all of your friends to think it at the same time. Don't plan
Honestly,
it
how come the
with
four of us
email list
how
or
come the four of us
Facebook.
specifically never tried it out? Like, what if we just try to manifest like $1 million going to an orphan puppy charity or some shit?
Look,
Like, let's do
What
it.
we, what we should
That's
all
not
be
bad.
doing.
Yeah.
What we should all be doing is devoting 10 minutes a day to serious meditation. Where
Sirius was the name of the dog from September 11th.
we have the serious meditation where we focus on the notion that we're unlocking our superpowers, and we should just every day for 10 minutes a day focus
Yeah,
on
I
that.
mean, sure, but I think actually Chris has the point because like doing it for charity, always, like we should focus on like that orphan puppy foundation, maybe.
Yeah.
Mr.
In
Beast
like
model.
in like
Well, you gotta-
Bali or something.
gotta
'Cause
start
then
your
the universe
own-
has a reason to do it for you because it's not for you. It's
Yeah.
And
if it happens, great. If it doesn't, well, oh well.
Okay.
yeah,
So we're
yeah.
gonna manifest.
The thing
Let's
is-
do it. Can we take a second? Let's
Go-
You
Yeah,
gotta
manifest.
manifest.
We're gonna manifest $1 million.
We got to pick a charity. The clearer the manifestation, the
No, no,
clearer
no,
the
no.
intent.
Okay.
Pick an actual charity.
I
We're
think
the,
orphan
we're the poor
puppy,
people, though.
Rescue.
Fuck the poor people. We got puppy store
Puppy
right now,
rescue.
man.
Dog. Local lucky dog rescue.
All right, let's
Bali.org.
I want to see this website. Let's pull it up. All right,
Lucky
so I'm
dog
thinking,
rescue Bali.org. This is for puppies lost in Bali.
holy shit, that's a real thing. Oh my
All right.
god,
Okay. All right. So let's imagine
they get
that
$1 million.
This group, Lucky Dog Rescue Bali, gets $1 million. Everybody watching, we're gonna just take a second here. We're gonna think about LuckyDogRescueBali.com, this group in Bali that rescues puppies. We're gonna think about them. Just somehow they're gonna get $1 million. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
I
reading
got
this. This is horrible. Like each year,
Yeah.
thousands of Bali dogs are routinely caught, bludgeoned, hung, poisoned, and forced to suffer a slow
my
and
God.
agonizing death. We depend on your help to give these tortured and helpless dogs a chance at a better life. Every penny makes a difference.
Okay. And
Someone
we're
really
also
cares.
gonna manifest that this is sincere
Allegedly.
and that these people actually do care about puppies.
$1 million
They're
bucks
gonna-
would go a long way in Bali, by the way.
Specifically,
know
the fact
if
that it's
that's
Bali
I don't
makes
know
it
if that's how
believable.
works. The thing about manifesting with consciousness is that the things you don't know about still exist. You know,
I'm
like no
thinking
one.
about
I'm manifesting it right now.
Look, we all constantly manifest. Hey, we don't like pedophiles, but there was still Epstein Islands for that long.
Well, I never took the time to manifest pedophiles not exist.
Yeah, right.
Maybe
I
I
usually
should've
don't
been
want to
doing
think
that.
about that shit.
I'm usually fighting.
We all
I know that a lot of people manifest the idea that guns shouldn't exist, but they still do. So that's a thing, But
But we're manifesting for abundance, not scarcity.
Claudia is the founder of Lucky Dog Rescue Bali. Do we really want Claudia to get $1 million? We don't know enough about Claudia.
I mean, she seems like she's already been through enough of life to do anything too drastic.
Yeah,
Then again,
right.
maybe she'll just be like, "Fuck that, I'm taking this
except for
shit."
plastic surgery.
Right? Yeah. But you know what? She's probably like 100 years old actually, and she looks like she's like 45 or something because
I couldn't imagine being a woman growing up through like the 80s and 90s.
true.
What about rescuing the dogs from China or whatever that one district that kills and eats the dogs? Like,
Dude,
they
she's
specifically
gonna get like
breed them.
100,000 because we got 10% into that and then we gave up. So like she's
I
still
mean,
gonna get something.
Every penny counts, right? Every
Yeah.
penny makes a difference. So I'm totally with it. I'm
Right.
hoping for better pastures for the Bali puppies. myself.
I do too. I think I trust this lady. Now I'm gonna find out more about her.
Because who does this? Like really,
Right.
there's so many other ways, like other easier ways to grift. Like
Yeah,
Bali
that's
puppies.
your grip.
Yeah, but when all the other grifts are taken, you gotta be creative. You know?
I mean yes, every nonprofit has
YouTube channel.
Everyone loves dogs. Everyone loves puppies. And when you tap into that,
you're gonna see a YouTube video. We just got $1 million in donations.
Oh my god!
5 years.
All right, I'm gonna manifest that this lady has all the money she needs to take care of the dogs in Bali. It's gonna be $1 million probably, and she's gonna save Dolly Bob. She seems cool.
Yeah, I mean, judging from the quality of the video, she doesn't seem like she's like.
Yeah, I don't think she's
This is real. All right, I want her to have $1 million.
She's not Erica Kirking the dogs.
Yeah, right,
dude. This is. They poison the dogs and then they eat them. What the hell, bro? All right, we're gonna try to.
Wait, why would you eat a poisoned dog?
I don't know, man. That seems crazy.
I don't know. There was a demon there at the end.
People in Bali might get
White
so
Devil.
pissed. They're like, "What the fuck are you doing? These dogs are a menace. They attack people. They gang up on children. What the fuck are you doing?" And we're like, "Hey, man,
you need to know how to deal with a dog. You know, you have to.
That'd be like poisoning my children, knowing that the dog is gonna eat them, hoping to kill the dog."
You ever done that? You ever screamed at dogs with like in wild places? Like with
I yell at my dog in my house. He does bad shit all the time.
Sometimes you got to do it. I don't know.
Definitely not with a shock collar though." Hassan Piker.
He just growled at me when I said that, Piker. I'm sorry, bub.
They all know. They all know what that guy's doing. The dogs talk to each other. They know about Hassan Piker.
All dogs go to heaven.
Oh my god! Can you manifest a crypto pump?
Go pump and dump.
All I know, I kind of want to tell the story. I'm not sure.
I just think first of all, like way more powerful wizards than us are probably doing that as we speak. Okay.
Yeah, I hope to God. Maybe that's what's going wrong. Is we're not
pumping and dumping crypto stocks.
No, but like, I mean,
can you imagine how the crypto market would behave if more women were into it?
Yeah. For sure,
because of the manifesting powers.
That's
it'd
why
be way more fair.
That's why they put all those cute little animals on the Ethereum tokens originally. They were trying to get the witchcraft in. But okay, there is. Let's just say it that way. There is a thing that some witchcraft people do that is supposed to make you more money. Let's say, right? There's like a thing that you can do. It's like a kind of spell that they do. It requires
I saw the Jewish rituals.
Like lesser like demonology, like lesser keys of Solomon type shit.
No, like they gather around with a bunch of gold coins and then they kind of like do a ritual around the gold coins and they're like, yes, this is America.
Well, there's a lot of magic tied to money, isn't it? Because a lot of it is abstracted conscious psychic power.
Magic and money is definitely a magic artifact for sure.
All I know is Bitcoin was at like $200, and then one time I did this thing that some guy who's like from Louisiana and did like voodoo Santeria stuff told me to do. But instead of doing it like the way he told me to do it, I did it over my laptop, which was at the time being used for, crypto. And Bitcoin hit like, it went from like $200 to like 10 or 20, $1,000. I forget the whole thing, but that's when it did that first crazy jump, So I always kind of think
you're a witch.
I'm saying that there's probably a pretty good spell out there that you could do that would help with coin, except that there's probably enough other people in there that are trying to keep it low.
Was that 2016?
Yeah.
There's one thing I would never want to use manifestation for, especially like, despite the obvious, you don't do it for personal gain. Yeah, okay, I get that. But one thing I will not do is the whole like love thing, like manifesting a lover or your twin flame or your soulmate. Like, I think that's really dicey. I don't think you should fuck with love magic. Although like many witches would probably be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I'd rather fuck with love magic than sex magic personally. Because sex magic
all of it. I don't know. Sex magic is like I don't know shit about that either.
Well, I mean,
manifestation is basically synchromysticism. So you're increasing the probability of things happening in your favor and synchronizing with, I guess, the algorithm of reality. And if you're supposed to go and align with that, then that's your synchromystic, I guess, just destiny. Like you're doing it at that moment to manifest your lover at that moment. Well, that's because that's all you could really do at that moment. Like you're manifesting because that's what your entire will desired. So do it. But
I think you should be careful
don't be an idiot about it.
Yeah, you should be careful with that because like any tragedy story or any epic or saga about that shows is usually you don't realize how uninterested you really are. Because if you make someone else have love for you, you're forcing them to be in love with you, right? Not just have you have a passion for them because you think they're beautiful and you want them as like as a thing, but that's not the same as actually loving a person. And so then you're making them actually love you, and then you can't reciprocate if you create that kind of a ritual spell.
There's a difference between manifesting a new lover versus like being like, oh, I'm going to use a spell to make someone fall in love with me. Like that's a different thing. It's like if you're trying to be like, hey, I hope I meet someone. That's fine. If you're,
I was gonna say that too.
I'm gonna use blood magic to make this person like fall in love with me. Like you're doing a few steps.
Well, I think there's ways to work it. Like instead of like manifesting the ends, which is the relationship or the bond, manifest the means. So instead of saying like, oh, I want to manifest a soul, a soulmate or whatever, you could be like, I want to manifest experiences with this person, because that's really what it's all about. I mean, I really think like you could take two strangers and make them really close if you just put them in a situation where they have to watch each other's backs. Like you'd be surprised how many people could set aside differences just to be like, all right, we kind of have to work together on this. And in that process, they're like, you know what? You're not as much of a fucking prick as I thought you were, and you're not as much of a dumbass as I thought you were. And then funny things happen.
How romantic.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's
I think love story.
The moment you're open to love, like you're increasing your probability of finding it. Like you can't find it if you're not looking for it, obviously. So like that's kind of a mini spell in of itself, where you're just like, suddenly this is like a consciousness door that I've opened and I'm allowing it to happen, as opposed to trying to force reality to like bend to your will. So you're like, hey, manifest whatever the fuck I want. Well, it's like, no. You have to be aligned with the will of the universe, at least to a degree, or else it won't work at all. And if you do bypass that, I think there's heavy consequences. I think that's where the rule of thirds comes in, that the magic that whatever you put out comes back threefold. So you gotta be in the goodwill.
Mindfulness and creativity is a skill, and you have to learn it over time. And some people learn it by gradually doing
a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, how much of your will are you willing to insert into the life that's happening in front of your eyes?
Yeah.
And how much control are you willing to, you know what I mean? It's like staying in your lane, Yes, you're controlling the car, but like, it's good for you and a lot of other people if you try to stay within certain guidelines.
Sure. But, get off the highway anytime, and you can build your own road.
There's a reason why they made the DAO illegal,
Yeah. Well, now like you got Grubhub, which is kind of like manifesting. Like I want to manifest a burger and fries in front of my doorstep.
Yeah, which is the ethical one? Because I heard
that's summoning, actually.
Summoning magic, yeah.
The ethical one is pressure cooker or rice cooker. I'm pretty sure there's no ethical food delivery service. Not
air fryer.
Food manifesting, summoning.
Air fryer. Yeah,
what we need is that fucking thing from Star Trek there, food synthesizer.
The replicator. Yeah. I mean, we're there though. Like you saw the Mr. Beast thing where people are eating synthetic cloned chicken and beef cells.
No, that's not good enough. Not good enough. What I want is matter itself to be altered by a machine, and then you can be like, oh, a donut.
I think what's also interesting is like with Mr. Beast especially, a lot of his shit ultimately ties around. It's all like gambling, right? Because like I think that's really starting to creep up as like it's just pervasively taking over our consciousness, because it's all about like prediction models, right? How well can you predict the outcome of things? Which is why like, with all these apps, like free betting apps where you could, I make this joke all the time where I'm like, instead of ordering food directly, I'll just bet $15 that bananas won't show up in front of my house. And then someone's going to take that bet, put the bananas in front of them, and take the $15. That's going to be like everything, because eventually everyone's like power is going to be consolidated to people who could just utilize either their brains or their algorithms or the prediction models to just literally call it out, call the future, and make money off of it.
Maybe.
I mean, that's what stock markets. A lot of the stock market was about like speculative betting for a while, especially during COVID. Yeah.
Gambling is the norm. The economy runs on gambling. You know.
Yeah, and Mr. Beast, like all of his biggest acts are really ultimately some kind of wager, like money on the line, or there's you know, like, can you do this, then you get this.
Oh yeah, well,
Devil's wager.
Is he friends with the Rothschilds now? I don't remember which one. He aligned with the Rockefellers, maybe. I don't remember.
I actually haven't looked into all of his financing. I know, he did a financial deal. I know he has also like Lords of London for an insurance, but you know, like when you're that big, you're going to make a deal with them. Like you're better off having an agreement than an argument with the other people that high up when you're that. I mean,
I don't think Mr. Beast also is the kind of guy who counts dollars in his bank account. I think he quantifies attention. And like we were just talking about how attention is like the most valuable resource now. And he quantifies that in his own mind. And he's like not thinking about dollars. He's thinking about how much attention will this give me and allow me to retain.
And influence. He's also able to do things, try things, see things no one else gets to see because of that.
Because everyone else is thinking dollars and resources. He's thinking attention. He's already like fully enmeshed in the attention market.
Yeah. Influence.
Sorry, you're muted, Andrew.
You say, Vega?
Have you guys tried his chocolate yet?
Fucking terrible. No, I haven't tried it.
It's not.
I did. I had it one time and it had quinoa. It was organic and had quinoa in it.
Yeah, it's got a very short ingredient list.
Yeah,
and I think it's fair trade. If I'm not, don't quote me on that.
I think it is. Yeah, I mean he's doing all the ethical stuff. So
yeah. I mean,
everybody wants to hate Mr. Beast, but I think he's cool. You know, it's a terrible.
I think that's a trap. You can't. You should probably. You know, like I withhold judgment until the end. Like, what am I gonna? Sure. Am I gonna assume what this person with huge PR teams actually thinks?
It's hurt because Neil Gaiman peed on a girl. I get it. I have the same hurt. All right.
Yo, fuck Neil Gaiman. No, but it's true. You know, like I'm not saying like you can't support people, but like you know, be careful. If you have a guy named Mr. Beast who's a multi-billionaire doing fucking like Squid Game like shit, like I'd be like
building wells. Oh no!
How dare you build wells and help these people by giving them carbon credits that were designed for the elite?
If Jeffrey Epstein built 1,000 wells, it doesn't make up for what he's done. You know, like I don't know. All I know is that
what are his sins? That's what I want to know. I want to know the dirt on Mr. Beast.
Most people who become billionaires, they do so because they want to be able to do shit that poor people can't. So that's it. Like I'm suspicious of people who have the desire to be that powerful.
I think Chris said it though. He just said he wanted to be famous. He never acted like he gave a damn about the money, and the money he just uses to be more famous. And he said Logan Paul's name 1 million times or whatever it was, to become famous. Right? That's his whole. That he just like that's
a ritual right there.
Incantation, so that he could have fame. All right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Like I can't say for sure. But like, if there's a guy who sold his soul to the devil and it turns out to be Mr. Beast,
a guy whose name is Mr. The Beast.
Oh my God. Of all of the candidates for the Antichrist, you're pointing at Mr. Beast of all. I didn't
say Antichrist. I said if he sold his soul to the devil, would you be surprised? You'd be like, oh my God, this guy named Mr. Beast.
How do you sell your soul to the devil?
Well, if you meet him,
is it a butt contract? A blood contract?
That was part of the old one. That's the devil's kiss back in the day. Like
Vega, have you read Faust or have you seen the silent film, the original Faustus? Like
I have like a vague familiarity with it.
I would also recommend that to you as well because I think that's clearly about making a deal like with the devil is often a metaphor for selling out your morals to the system, right? Like living in a mortgage, working a job that you don't want to work. And like, what do you trade it all for? What is the value in, what would you be really willing, if you were a guy who didn't want to sell your soul, what would they have to do for you or for the world for you to actually feel like you were willing to trade or sacrifice your soul? Right. And, you know,
doesn't it end with?
Sorry, go on.
Don't spoiler him, Vincent.
I mean, we all got to sacrifice, for something, right? It's like we're all sacrificing our time and our energy.
This is literally what that song "Dance with the Devil" by Immortal Technique is about. And I hate that I still remember that song. I wish I could just because it's so fucking corny, but it really is just about that.
Hey man,
one man, one jar.
All right. Well, we're 2 hours deep. Anything you guys wanted to? Let's do like some closing statements here. Maybe Veg. Who wants to go first? Yeah, Vincent. You sound like you're ready.
I could show you the art piece I've been drawing this whole time. If you
All right, you can try. Put it. Yeah, put it on your chest more. Under your. There you go. Boom. Back. Wow, the baby comes through. There's some kind of symbolism there. I like it. It's like the Joker, the Jester God.
Cosmic Jester, you know.
I like it. That's
DMT Jester.
Nice.
Yeah, with the Tesseract or something. Sweet. Is that it? You want to say something?
Final details. You know, just like be nice to each other. If you're gonna exploit people's neurology, do it wisely.
Yeah.
Do it ethically.
And never meet your heroes because they might be Neil Gaiman. Yeah.
Well, you know, don't have sex with your heroes. They might pee on you.
God, that's the best advice of the night. I can tell already. Sorry, Vega. That's a hard one to live up to, but next.
Oh, I gotta follow that. Yep, what she said. Yeah, that's I don't know if you were I've been doing some really interesting stuff on TikTok and Instagram.
I actually, you're right. I should be focusing on showing people some of that. Hold on.
It's all for lols, really.
I don't know that if I can share the music because even though it's super catchy.
Yeah, no, feel free to look on your own. No, but I don't know. It's interesting times.
No longer called Bat Monkey Customs. What happened?
No, it's the name that I have on here.
Blue
Collar
Goth Dad. Yeah. Cool. Blue Collar Goth Father. What am I doing? Is this working? It's the wrong window. This is confusing me. Hold on. Sorry, everybody.
But crazy times we're living in. It's like, I don't know what to believe, but I'm just trying to cope through humor. And I'm really glad that, Andreas, you have all these different channels for us to interact. And
God, we're trying.
The next one's probably got like the most hits. It's my Morpheus loadout, but
this is pretty good stuff, actually. I mean, there's one with the red outfit. I don't know.
I've been getting a little bit more fine. Yeah,
this one was great. This song has been stuck in my head for days, honestly.
But don't get shot.
Don't worry, I'm not even. This is all cosplay. It's all theater.
It's a good uniform to combat people in hell, though.
Sucking daddy.
This is what I wear on the front lines of the internet.
Oh, that's good.
Now you are officially on the list.
Yeah, Blue Collar Godfather.
Now?
Officially. It was unofficial before.
I'm a list veteran, dude.
Dude, yeah.
But it was a secret blacklist.
We fought on the blog wars, you know?
Now you're on the red list.
Before the meme wars, there would have been blog wars. Chris, tell us something.
Well, first and foremost, I want to say I hope everyone had a good first month of the year.
Yeah.
You know, it's already the end, so we're already at February. And thank you for watching. Thank you all for listening. And for all you Arc Raiders players out there, we hope you have a great time looting, shooting, and blowing shit up.
True. And you should probably get up with Terror Risk on Arc Raiders because he can literally play his DJ sets to you while you're shooting each other.
I actually got shot a few times doing that. Some guy was like, "Turn it down," and he just fucking killed me.
I don't blame him. And start rapping next time.
Yeah, my current project is playing nothing but Stella Montes for 7 days straight, and it's been driving me like insane. But I'm committed. I'm gonna do it.
Sounds healthy.
Yeah,
super. All right, guys. See you next time. Thanks for
being here. Love y'all.
APM.